Anything happening?
Sorry, Mike, you're saying something? Mike, you're saying something? Yes, we've just joined live now on YouTube. So you can share the YouTube links. We are sharing.
Anything happening? I seem to have lost you. Are we back?
Yes, Mike, we're back. We are just sending the YouTube link to you shortly, so you can share on your circles.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Hello. Hi, everyone. I think we've had enough of that song. I hope everyone is okay. Good evening, wherever you're joining us from. Karibuni sana 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 to our men's mental health webinar. I've been really looking forward to this webinar. My name is Dr. Kendi Ashituba. Karibuni, karibuni. Those of you watching us on YouTube, those of you watching us from your homes, you are most welcome. So the link is out there. I'm gonna give you 2-3 minutes to send the link to all your friends, your neighbors, your estate, your church group, your community, every man you care about, your sons, your cousins. We'll be talking about men, what makes them men, what makes them feel like men. We have a great lineup of speakers coming up. We have a Gen Z. I know today is a Gen Z day. And so whether we like it or not, we have been forced to acknowledge our Gen Zs, and we love our Gen Zs, especially on this mentorship program. So we have a Gen Z coming up, Augustine Buthiani. I've known him for a long time. So we'll have him coming up, talking to us about the challenges of being a Gen Z young man. What's that like? Yeah. And I keep making fun of Augustine, saying, your generation is the one where young men are wearing bonnets to sleep. They have a facial routine, a skincare routine. I don't get it, but I'm willing to get it. That's great. So after that, we have Anthony Tabu coming in. He's a licensed therapist. He's been here before. Last time he was here, he talked to us about raising resilient children. And he said something spectacular. He said, if your child is not listening to you, you must listen to your child. There's something they're trying to say, and that there's always meaning in their behavior. So Anthony Tabu will be here to talk to us about the bitter man, the angry man, and the unfathered man. So today I'm only here as a moderator. I will be asking the questions. I will be interviewing the men. It's their conversation. It's their world. I've never been a man one day in my life. I've been female all my life. And so I intend to just sit back and listen and ask questions and really just try and understand. After that, we have one of our favorite speakers on this channel, Dr. Oscar Gidua. Allow me to cheer myself. Dr. Oscar Gidua is a friend, is a senior, is my lecturer for many years. He has a history in forensic psychology. And so he's coming to talk to us about the man who kills himself and kills others. We were involved in the spate of femicide here, femicide there. And we've grieved the loss of very many promising young women, as we'll see later on in this conversation. And so he's here to talk to us about what is the psychology of this man who kills himself and kills others. What's really happening to this man? Yeah, this man with a hardened heart. What's going on there? And so I look forward to hearing that. We also have another favorite speaker on this panel, Dr. David Bukusi, also a senior in the profession, a psychiatrist, a man who's devoted many years of his life to just research and understand men. He'll be talking to us about a special man, the man who's resetting himself. Yeah, who is this man who's resetting himself? And when I put out the flyer for this webinar, a lot of my own clients told me, Dr. Kendi, I'm a man who's made a lot of mistakes. I had an affair, I cheated on my wife, I've lost this, I've lost who I thought I was, and I want to become a better man. And when they saw this flyer, one of them said, I'm here for the resetting man. So Dr. David Bukusi, you have your job cut out for you. There are men who have said, you know what, I've made my mistakes. I was raised by a man who made mistakes. I want to be a better man. How do I do that? And of course, last but not least, we have the senior most of them all, Mr. Mike Harris, yay! Coming to us straight from, I won't even say where, but he's one of us. Very excited to have him. I've never hosted him before. Please stay tuned for Mr. Mike Harris. Mike Harris is Kenyan born, but he's been here for many years. And one of the reasons I called him is Mike Harris is 87 years old, and I'll have him, tell us a lot more about that. I wanted us to have a man who's done life, a man who is not guessing, a man who's been through the gutter, a man who survived some tough seasons, to come and tell us, where does a man who is in trouble go? Because it's very easy to all look shiny. We all look okay. And I think we've seen in this country, we've seen stories on the news about men, promising men, educated men, successful men, men that you look up to and think they have everything put together. And later you hear they committed suicide, they jumped off a building, you know, they hung themselves. And you're left wondering what was happening behind the scenes. And so I really wanted Mike to come on this conversation and tell other men that life happens. And when life happens, where do you go? What do you do when trouble hits? Because trouble comes to all men. And after that, we'll have a small discussion and just see what questions we have on YouTube. So, karibuni sana. How are we doing on YouTube? Please share the link. I'll give you 1 more minute to just share the link to your family, your friends, your loved ones, your clients, your work meeting, your work group. 1 more minute and we will be back. All right? Great. See you shortly. Are we sharing? Are we sharing? Are we sharing? Meanwhile, as we are sharing, Augustine, hopefully Augustine, you can come on the set. Augustine, karibu sana. Augustine, if you're here, you are welcome. Hi,
I
Augustine.
appreciate you, Kendi. Hi, Kendi.
Sasa habari yako?
Nzuri, pengine yako.
Salama sana. How's your day?
My day has been wonderful.
Mbona hatukuoni jamani? Uko wapi?
You
There
can see
you
me.
are. There you are. How's your day?
My day has been wonderful. Maybe yours.
Mimi niko salama. Ulienda maandamano?
Pengine kuna DCI Kendi, unataka kunituma?
I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Usijali ndugu yangu. I mean, we have to laugh, my brother. We have to laugh, eh?
For
If
sure,
we
for
do not
sure.
laugh, we may drown. So we are choosing to laugh. Augustine, asante sana, even just for choosing to join us today, and choosing to share what it's like to be a young man. And today being a special day for Gen Z, I'm so glad. And I just want to begin by saying, Augustine, asante sana. Today is a special day for young men, for the Gen Z of this nation. We know what happened 2 years ago, and we just want to pray for the continued peace and comfort of all those who lost their loved ones 2 years ago, and just pray for the healing of this country. And so clearly for us, because I'm a millennial, we are watching a generation of young men that we don't necessarily understand. So nataka tu tuambie honestly, what's going on? What is it like for you being a young man, a young Gen Z man? What is masculinity for you? Take it away, Augustine. I've never been a man a day in my life. When niambie.
Actually,
Hi.
actually, no one prepared us for this, actually, for the point that we have reached according to our age. I personally, I won't lie to you. Like being a man right now is the hardest point of life. I won't lie to you. Because we have so many challenges, and no one is ready to hear from us. Even you can tell even the way we are trying to amplify our voice as the young ones through the government, and no one is ready to understand. No one is ready to listen to us. And when we try to speak now, it has become like it's a war between us and the government. You see, it all starts from the outside, and then now you come and learn from the inside, even in our houses. I personally, I won't. When I was actually, let's say, most of the times I've been raised by a family where it's all about you guys, you need to sort out your issues as a man. No one is willing to listen. No one is willing to listen to us. And even if you, when you try to like explain it to, let's say, having a father figure in the house, you're trying to tell him, okay, this is how this is what I have on the table, and this is how I am, and this is how I'm feeling about myself. And then that he's like, okay, it's fine, but you have to figure it as a man. You see the way we have been left for us to understand ourselves. Now what are we relying on? Social media. Social media to raise us. And it's really doing a damage on this young generation. The way you're seeing us in bonnets, in durags. Personally, I don't have a problem with anyone on durag or bonnet, but at least if you try now to understand this age where we feel like we don't want to listen to anyone. We're trying to understand, like, here, PSCC, this is our first time being here, won't lie to you. So we are trying to like move according to the way we feel like, not according to the way we are seeing the world as. You see, like the way we say in social media, it has come to a point that we are learning from social media. The influencers, the people that we are looking up to, what are they doing? What are they teaching us? What are they saying about us? The music that we listen to, what is it all about? Is it? Personally, it has really, social media has really played a bigger damage in raising us. We won't lie to you guys. We won't lie to you guys. Social media and peers, even the friendship that the people that we keep, the people that we are so close to, those are the ones who are teaching us. You see, like now, when we used to say, me, I wouldn't blame my dad because basically, even him, he really tried. He really tried. Him being a provider, because for him, maybe even his father was never around. And the distance that he has taken me, he feels like he has already accomplished so many things.
Yeah.
And I can't judge him for that.
Okay.
That one, I can't judge him for that. But again, if I look up to like, he could have done more. He could have done more.
Like what? Like what, Augustine? What could the dad have done more? What does that mean?
Like he could have listened. You see, that's what I'm saying. For him, he thought providing, and I'm not judging him. I really understand. Now, when I've grown up, that is when now I'm understanding how life is. But when I was in that scenario, sikuwa naelewa ati this is how life is. So for him, as a provider, him making like maybe putting the meals on the table, buying clothes, he thought that was enough.
Okay.
You see, he thought that was enough. And personally, I wouldn't say it's enough because me and my dad never had one-on-ones. This is what I'm facing. Now, we never had one-on-one. And I'm really even grateful for my spiritual father. That's the one who took the point of being a man. That's a role model that I've seen. Man. You see, now when there's this point and he's looking at me, it's like, now he's seeing himself as a but if I figured it out, Peter figure out. But he doesn't understand his time and our time is way different.
Yeah.
Right now we have a lot. We are facing through a lot. Schoolwork, maybe, working. We're trying to juggle life. We're trying to understand what life is.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out what life is. But now you can't rely on our fathers because they're not around. There's no role model. There's no one that we are looking up to right now.
So what you're saying, Augustine, is the person teaching you to be a man, the majority of Gen Z, the people teaching them who a man is social media.
It's social media, definitely social media.
And so what is social media telling you a man is? Inaambia mwanaume ni nini?
Mwanaume, do you see the stoic energy? A man is supposed to face easy to come as a man. There's no time for you to cry. There's no time for you to complain. Now you have to face it as a man. This is how men are supposed. They're trying to raise us in a hardcore way to a point of it's not okay for us to break down. It's not okay for us to speak out. Because when we speak out, people will judge us on the way we speak out.
There's an example you told me. There's a place you and I meet. It is our secret. Yeah, health and fitness. Yeah. There's an example you gave me the other day, Augustine. You said on social media there's a male celebrity Ali post a vulnerable comment. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
Tell us about that.
So it was, I think, 3 weeks ago. The guy, most of the people know him. He posted, he's a male figure. He posted akasema, I'm sorry guys, I've been facing some demons in 2020 2025, 2026. That's why I haven't been consistent with my career. And then after he posted, now there's a lady who came, she said, ati you're still fighting demons in 2026. Sema kama umeisha, useme tu umeisha. If you can't make good music, just say you can't make good music. You see, that him is opening up, expecting, okay, we have to understand him. But now the female figure, they're trying to bring him down.
So basically you're saying when a man opens up, the women, even women, make fun of him. Yeah.
Definitely.
Like, so he was being vulnerable and saying, hey, I've been fighting some demons, I've been struggling. Then another female artist, because he was an artist, because he hadn't produced
Sure.
some music, and so he came online to tell his fans and his followers, I have not produced music because I've been struggling, alluding the fact that he's been struggling in his private life. And then a female comes and tells him, acha kusema una struggle, you are just out of content. And I think what you told me in the gym is that's one of the reasons many men don't express vulnerability, because we are mocked when we express vulnerability. Is that true?
For sure. Definitely, for sure. For sure. Because we can't speak up. We can't speak up. We're not allowed even to speak up. Because even you can tell you now, because when now it comes to the age now you're switching up to become maybe you're entering a relationship. Now it comes to a point that now you are based as the women nowadays are saying, if a man can't provide, he's not supposed to be loved. You see, we're just loved because of what we give. If the giving is not there, there's no love for us.
Okay. So social media is parenting you. Who would you prefer to, where would you rather get a father figure from? What's your desire if you were to help another Gen Z young man, if you were to wake up today and you're 40 years old and there's a 25-year-old Augustine, what would you give him? What does he need?
What does he need?
Yeah.
He needs to be
I'm sorry?
that he needs attention. He just needs attention. Attention, love, and just show him love. Because basically we don't get the love. We are not even listened to. Let's say even when we were young, yeah? And then you see umepoteza sweater, and then now you're going home, you're afraid even to tell your mom that, Ama, you're afraid even to tell your dad, I've lost my sweater because it was war. It was war. You see, because there's not that love. They're not giving us the love that we require.
Okay.
We are not even being listened to. You remember me? I was even telling someone the other day. I was like, why were we even being beaten for losing? Let's say you're being sent in the shop, umepoteza pesa, and then now you're getting beaten. What was the point of you getting beaten because you've lost money, and then you still lose the money eventually?
They argue they're trying to make you strong, discipline.
That's not being strong at all.
Okay.
Now you start becoming like you're scared, because now you can't. You see, now that's how you're being raised on being scared. Utakuwa unaogopa juu unajua nikifanya hivi, nikimwambia nimepoteza nini, itakuwa war. But yeah.
So what I'm hearing, Augustine, is the Gen Z young man wants to be listened to, wants to be seen, wants to be fathered, wants a father figure.
Yeah, because we can't be we don't expect ourselves to become a man if you don't see a man.
Okay.
If you don't have someone that we can look up to, how are we being raised? We'll become weaklings. That's why we see now men starting to paint their nails so that they can apparently look attractive. That's when we start seeing men wearing dresses that it's fashion. You see, because there's no father figure. If we saw our dads wearing suits, we could have understood, okay, this is how a man is supposed to. I'm not saying dressing in jeans is not okay, basically, but in special occasions, you see, that's why even I've been hearing people complaining that the Gen Zs will in the church in Crocs.
Mimi na struggle sana. Munavaa bonnet, munavaa Crocs. Muko na skincare routine? Hey.
Yeah, and
Uh-huh.
then what some of us are not understanding, social media is there to make us weak, first of all. Because why are we spending, as men, why are we spending 30 minutes on skincare routine? That, I don't have a problem with people who trying to look nice. A man's makeup is, you just get a haircut, look fresh. You're already done. You're already done for the day. Brush your teeth, take a shower, maybe roll on, put on some cologne. You're ready to go. But again, we are seeing people on social media who are getting paid just to divert our attention of not becoming men and now
Okay.
becoming all about. Suddenly, we're trying to look good for everyone.
Okay. What I'm hearing is a lot of you are an unfathered generation.
Yeah,
You've not been fathered into masculinity. You are fathered, food, clothing, and shelter, but no one really defined what masculinity is for you. And so you guys are growing up with confusion about who a man is and how a man should show up. And now social media has taken up that role. And social media is mentoring you into what masculinity is.
yeah,
Is
definitely.
that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, final thing before we ask Anthony to jump in, because Anthony wants to talk more about the unfathered man. How is dating for the Gen Z man? How are girls treating you? Mademo wanawapeleka, sema yote, hatuta kujudge. We
Ah,
listen, we don't judge.
yeah, vitu kwa ground is different. They are very different.
How is dating? How is dating for the Gen Z men generally?
Generally, it's very hard. Very hard because now ladies are comparing us with people who are like 30 years, 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
You see, you can't expect a 26-year-old person to provide what a 35-year-old can provide. They don't understand that it's a process. You see, they want the final product, they don't want the process.
Mm-hmm.
You see, I was even telling you, I will use an example like for you, your husband, yeah? Because basically, you see, for him, he's somewhere up there, right? So now my competition is your husband, according to these women who are my age mates.
Mm.
So now you find a point of now I'm trying to like live a life that at least it will be attractive. That's why we see young people in getting into different type of things just in order to be get so that we get the attention from the women. We can see people like apparently they call it forex, but in real sense we all understand what's happening behind the curtains. You see, but we were just trying to okay, we are trying to impress these women and impression definitely those are the people that we are competing with. And as for
Wow.
me, I would say, uh, the salary that I have is not even enough for me to cater another person, right?
Mm.
Because I'm still trying to figure out how to like they put these things in order, like how to divide my money in order. But now, if I get someone who cannot understand the process, now I end up spending more even than what I earn. There's no savings. By the time I will be reaching 30, there's nothing to show. Because why? I spent like maybe my entire life trying to prove to a woman that I'm worth her time and everything. Ndio unasikia the stories where now young women are with wababas because they are saying young boys are brokies. We don't have anything. So now
Okay.
we can't even find a wife material. I was even telling someone the other day, like our fathers went to the good wives, now we are over here.
Oh yeah. No, good vibes are still there. And let me just balance you, all these men you guys are seeing in their 40s, when we married them, they were sleeping on a mattress. Me, I married my husband sleeping on a mattress on the floor. He had nothing. So just to tell you, there's nothing wrong with you, Augustine. And all of you 25, 26-year-old on your first salaries, there's nothing, that's normal. You're doing great. The fact that you guys are waking up and have your own jobs is amazing. And we respect that, yeah? Of course, not all women will respect it, but good women respect hard work. And honestly, Augustine, I've seen you work for years. For years, I've seen you work. I've seen you wake up. I've seen you show up. I've seen you, do what you do very well. I've seen you grow. And to you and everyone in your generation, I know I'm a much older woman. To you guys, I'm a very old woman. But all this to say that don't believe all women are not the same. All
Yeah,
men are
they're
not
not
the same.
they're not the same. That one, it's okay. They're not the same, but out of now finding your wife, the 99s are the one now who are outside. Getting that 1% is the problem. And you see, for you, you'll understand because you've been in that process. But imagine now explaining to someone who is coming from the trenches. Maybe there's nothing to show up, and then now you explain it to actually there's a process under which, for that man, you have to see the vision. You see, they don't want to see the vision right now. They're so
Yes.
focused on what are you bringing to the table.
Oh yeah. I'm so sorry. I
Mm.
mean, I'm hearing financial pressure. Financial pressure.
Yeah,
And
financial
what I'm
pressure.
hearing is you don't just need, as we prepare Anthony to come, a Gen Z man feels financial pressure, and it's not just you need to have money, you need to look like you have money. Cindy?
For sure, definitely. Even you can't dress up. There's a way you can't dress up. That's why you're seeing people with that. Like they're just trying to occupy the trend so that they can impress people outside here. That's why you see there's a trend of guys wearing bonnet. Oh, ladies are like, nowadays we love people who wear bonnet. Now everyone is wearing a bonnet. Now everyone is wearing a direct. I love a man who does a skincare routine. Now everyone is doing a skincare routine. Because why? We are trying to impress people outside here. There's no authenticity. Like we cannot understand ourselves. We don't know what we want personally. We care about what the world is saying about us.
And the world keeps shifting the goalpost.
Every day, there's always something new.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Augustine. Just hang in there. We will be back. At some point, I'll have a panel discussion. I want to hear what all of you think about some things I've been reading this month. So thank you, Augustine. Yay, happy my coffee, Augustine. Yay, Gen Z. Anthony Tabu, my brother from West Africa. Where are you?
Good evening and good evening all. I don't know whether you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you loud and clear. How are you, Anthony?
Well, I'm grateful. Fun time to rest today. I just stayed away, just stayed safe for today.
Absolutely. Karibu sana. I don't know how much of what Augustine said, you were able to catch. And I don't know how many questions we have on YouTube. I'm sure they'll be written for us to ask towards the end of this conversation. But Anthony, I'm assuming you've also been a man all your life. Nowadays, nowadays we live in strange days, eh?
Yes, I've always been a man all through my life. I have never changed. I
Okay.
don't hope to change anytime soon as well.
Yeah. So I just I needed to clarify that. So Anthony, I don't know, you heard what Augustine said about being a young man, and he mentioned that a lot of his peers, they're an unfathered generation, but you have that to talk to us about who's the unfathered man, and what are these young men craving and looking for? What is masculinity supposed to look like? Because the struggle is real, Anthony. And then there's an angry and bitter man out there. There's an angry man. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, Anthony? I've never been a man one day in my life. I am just taking notes. Go for it.
Yes, thank you very much, Candy, and once more, greetings to everyone watching us. Just allow me to begin by thanking and affirming Augustine for sharing, but also to pick it up actually from there. Augustine mentioned nicely that for most of them, they were unheard. And I think that is where I want to pick it from when we talk about being unfathered. So I will speak about being unfathered, and then before I speak about the bitter man. So being unfathered begins with not just the physical absence of a father, but actually the lack of presence of a father. So by that I mean a father can be physically present at home, but as of the same time, he is not present to the concerns and needs of the young boy or the young child. For instance, he doesn't acknowledge them, he doesn't listen to them, he doesn't see them. Then that child is actually being unfathered, even if the father is present. And this causes a lot of pain in the boy child. And I think this is where the next topic of bitter men is anchored on. Simply the impact, the effect of constantly being unfathered. That means constantly not heard, constantly not seen, constantly criticized, which is something I think is very different when we talk about boy children and we talk about the girl child. Most boys are treated differently. They are harshly criticized, and it is in pseudo understanding that makes them stronger. We're preparing them for the future, so we don't water them, we don't support them. Yes, I know that can create some form of resilience, but as of the same time, it first breaks something within boys. It breaks their identity because maybe just to put it this way, what we don't realize, or what most parents don't realize, or fathers especially, is we are giving these boys a lenses through which they view themselves in the future. We are giving them an example through which they will tend to look at themselves when they become men. So it's not just happening now that they are men, it's already a lacuna, a gap that was there from when they were first boys. So the issue of identity, how they see themselves, what they perceive themselves to be, comes up when boys are being unfathered. Also, abandonment and rejection causes even some kind of bitterness in boys, because when boys feel abandoned, it's basically like they feel unwanted. So why are they there? And then they grow up with this constant unresolved pain. And maybe just allow me to emphasize on that: constant and unresolved. So a lot of things can happen in the childhood of a boy, but if these instances, these events, this neglect, this pain, these criticisms, this rejection, if they are constant, if they also, if the boy child also grows with it unresolved, it makes a lot of them bitter, actually very bitter, unheard, unseen. Even their point of view is one of the things that Augustine spoke about, and I alluded to it in our previous webinars, is, for instance, beating a child. You cannot beat a boy child for being a child. Like, all the things that a child should do or should not do. And if they don't do it, or if they do that, they are being beaten for. For instance, misplacing money. You cannot tell me that as a child, you expect your child to go with 200, maybe even a 20 shilling coin, and that little thing will not fall from his hand while he's kicking the balls, going to the shop to get something. Only when he gets to the shop, he realizes he must have misplaced his 20 shillings that he was supposed to use to go and buy something, and he's beaten for that. Because that is what children should do. For children, they need to play. Whether you are serious sending them on an errand, that's your business. But that's a child, and play is part of their lives. Yes, you want to correct them, but how do you correct them? Because those are the lenses from which they see themselves when they grow. And that is one of the things that I would just want to maybe highlight there. So absenteeism, being emotionally unavailable, and strong criticisms can cause bitterness in a man, especially when they receive that as boys.
Yeah. The reason I really wanted you to handle this for me is, I have seen angry men in therapy. Angry, very sensitive to feedback. We've talked about this with you in the office before, that when I work with couples and the wife is trying to tell the man, you're hurting me, you're doing this to me, I am finding few men that are able to get to receive feedback. Instead, they see it as an attack. You're saying I'm not good enough. You can't see that I'm trying. And so we say, let's work on the tone. Okay, maybe it's the tone. You change the tone and he still can't receive the feedback. And when I look at the history of this man, I can see as a child, he was wounded deeply, you know? And while he grew up and got this good job and, he looks very shiny on the outside, his soul was fractured. And so his masculinity is not secure enough to receive feedback. Yeah. And so I don't know if you can relate with what I'm saying as a therapist. How many angry men have you seen in therapy? Very angry, very sensitive. You almost have to, wonder, how do I tell you the truth?
Yeah, I have. Thank you, Dr. Kendi. I mean, it's majority of the men that I have come across in therapy. Already, only very few men come to therapy, but even the ones that have come, and where is it coming from? Constant criticisms. You see, as most of them as boys growing up, and you can just put a boy child growing up and a girl child growing up. When people come, they are most likely to tell the girl, those are very beautiful clothes. You look very pretty. But how many of them will tell the boy, you look very handsome? I think it's very little, And at the same time, when parents also raise their boys, they raise their boys with a lot of pain and beating and criticisms, thinking that is what makes them strong. So when you constantly criticize a boy, forgetting he will become a man, now he becomes a man, and everything and anything said to him, he's not used to things being said out of love. He's not used to things being said without him being beaten. So whatever people say to them, even when it is for their good, they most likely look at it from the lenses from which they have been given as boys. Look at it from the lenses of criticisms. People don't grow from criticisms. People grow from constructive feedback. Those two are different. And the worst part of that is, Dr. Kennedy, I think men or most boys have internalized it. So even when, as you say in session, maybe the wife or even the daughter or even the sister is saying something nice to them, because it comes through a lens that they have first internalized, which is criticisms. Even if it's coming nicely, it's landing not so nicely. And I think that is where we draw the line. And part of the unfathered child is also there, because part of what fathers do is to be present to a child, to correct them in love, to show them that it is okay to take feedback. For instance, when a boy goes through puberty, a lot is happening in the life of that boy, from hormones to body changes. More than ever, he needs a guide. He needs the father figure there to normalize what is happening. And most importantly, teach them to repudiate. Teach them that despite the strong biological urges and feelings, it is their duty to learn how to hold themselves back, to learn to say no, even when they have every feeling that is urging them to say yes. And when these are missing, it doesn't matter what kind of even good things you say to this boy, he sees it, it lands fast in his own lenses of criticisms. And then he says, you are criticizing him, you're not listening to him, you are disrespecting him. And that causes a lot of friction. So it's also a journey of even self-awareness for boys as much as it is as healing.
So what I'm learning from you, Anthony, is only a secure man can receive feedback well. And so when you're relating with a man and you have negative feedback, because what we have told women for years is say it nicely, or don't say it. I'm an African woman. I can tell you what we have been trained. We have been trained, keep quiet, don't offend him, carry him like an, so we have been told manage his ego. And while I see where that is coming from, I also see that it has really wounded many homes, because now some women can't say anything You know, they can't give feedback because the man can't handle it. And now what you're saying is he can't handle it because of where he's from, not because he's a bad man. It is where he's from. He doesn't have a history. He's not secure enough to receive this feedback, because no matter how I say it, the insecure lens, the ears that are insecure will see it as an attack. You know, you're attacking me. Yet, to be honest, I'm doing my best. You know.
Yes, yes, that is exactly part of what I'm saying for most men. Yeah, they have been handed a way to view themselves, and part of how they view themselves is criticisms. And so they criticize themselves even when you say nice things to them. Most unhealed or unfathered men also look at it as criticisms, not even feedback. And yet, the way you've said it is nice. What you're also saying is actually what is best for them, but it's just that they have their own unhealed self, unhealed lenses handed to them, that they look at themselves with a lot of criticisms.
Yeah. And one of the things I read, Anthony, as we wrap up your section is, I was reading about men this whole month in preparation for this webinar. And one of the things I came across is that the easiest emotion for a man to express is anger. Anger is easier to express than you have hurt me. So we see a lot of anger from men, but beneath that anger is just a wounded man, but he doesn't have the language to say he's angry, or the vulnerability. Is that true, that for most men, anger is the easier emotion to express? Is that true?
Yes, I would agree with that, Kendi. And this is because most of the times boys are parented, boys are beaten. They are beaten out of anger. Most of the times, our parents and Augustine even articulated that you are beaten because you have lost 20 shillings. And you wonder, is it that my parents cannot give me another 20 shillings or maybe talk to me nicely? But it looks like it's out of anger that is not even related to these issues. And so we internalize that. And it becomes one of the easiest emotion, even consciously or unconsciously, that most men identify with. Also, it is a pseudo belief that it shows strength, and most men want to actually identify with that anger as a show of strength. However, it's underlyingly, it shows a lot of insecurity and fear and loneliness, because we might think that anger in itself shows that you are man enough. You can shout on people, you can command, but it actually shows how wounded we are when we actually do that. It actually shows how unfathered we are, and we mistake it because that is also part of what we have been given. And maybe that is one way I want to answer that.
Wow, thank you, Anthony. We'll come back. We'll come back to you. Just
Thank
hang
you.
in there. Don't go too far. I'm so glad you've clarified so much for me. And coming up next is Dr. Oscar Gidua, Daktari, the angry man. Hey, Doc, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi, Kendi. How are you?
Oh, so good to see you, Daktari.
So amazing to see you and everyone else. Wow, such an amazing discussion today.
Sasa, now we are, hey, no, this is ascending, eh?
We're escalating things, eh?
We're escalating things. We started with the Gen Z man. Then we went to the angry, bitter, and fathered man. Daktari, me, I gave you the elephant that you're used to chewing, eh?
Yeah.
The man who kills himself and kills others, the unforgiving man, the hardened man. But before that, is there anything that you've heard from the first two amazing speakers you want to piggyback and jump on before I share that small video, and then you tell us your thoughts? You're always in dealing with these men. Utatuambia maneno yako leo.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you so much, Dr. Kendi, for what you're doing, and with the mentorship circle. These conversations are very important, and thank you to all the other presenters during this very special men's mental health edition. I think really exciting for me. Thank you to Augustine. I've listened to you, my heart broke. It has been reconstituted again, but I think we're going to have a chance to see if we can salvage a bit of it. So of course, there's what I've heard from Augustine, which is very, very deep. Also from Anthony about this anger and the the emotion of anger. And I wanted to throw probably a physiological other reason and explanation, maybe a biochemical reason, testosterone. And I think Dr. Bukusi would be the better person to talk about this one than I am. And I can't wait to listen to him, Dr. Bukusi, and of course Mike Harris. In fact, I shouldn't even be speaking because when you have someone who is a senior, especially eight decades going on to the ninth, I shouldn't even be talking. So I'm really excited about that. But I think talking about the testosterone for me is very, very important. And for Augustine, I think, your pain is palpable. It's something I can hear and I can see. And you're not alone. You're not alone. A lot of the young men I've been speaking with are talking about not being mentored, about not being fathered, not being shown the way. So I know that there's going to be ways we deal with it, including that we were also not necessarily shown the way. But the moment we realized we're not being shown the way, we started finding out deliberately how do we find the way. So I think it's an amazing beginning, Augustine, for you and then and all other Gen Zs who I call myself a Gen Z patron. Eh? So so yeah. So I hope we can understand more about men from this meeting today because I think the topics you've chosen, Dr. Kendi, are so important, so relevant in understanding who a man really is holistically. And I think being a forensic psychologist for me has given me a front seat to seeing what kind of harm men can do. And I think the last time we spoke, I was talking about the way men cause majority of the harm in society through crime and all that. So I know you asked me to talk about the men who kill themselves and they kill others, but I thought to myself, the one about the men who kill themselves would be a bit different from the man who kills others. So I chose because one of them is a very deeply mental health brokenness, the weight, and I think all other men on this call will cover that weight very well. I thought to choose the one that I think most people might not know much about, the femicidal man. So I decided, let me look at the man who kills women especially, and not just killing others, because a man who kills men might not necessarily be the one who kills women. And it's important right now, as our country is thinking about femicide, the rising cases of exposure of them. I think we'll do that. So I don't want to get into it because I know you want to show the video first. So what I want to do is I'll paint a picture of who I'm calling the femicidal man or the man that commits femicide, and then I'm going to really structure my thoughts a certain way. But before I do that, Dr. Kendi, please play the video, and then maybe I can pick it up from there if that's okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll try. Rachel, if not, please help me. You know how this is not my strong suit. Yeah,
No
definitely my
worries.
strong
No
suit.
worries.
Rachel, are you able
Awesome.
to play it for me?
Do I have it? Have you shared it with me?
Yes, yes. Meanwhile, yes, I have. I have. Rising cases of femicide among our country is quite real, Dr. Very, very real. And even as we share this video, please remember it's quite triggering. This video is quite triggering. So even as we watch it, please remember we're just honoring these lovely women whose lives were taken a bit too soon. But yeah, it is what it is, Dr. Is there anything else we can say before we show a video like that?
I think no, of course there's not much we can say because it's very hurtful. I think it's time as a country we have a conversation that is tied to both what Anthony and Augustine have spoken about. And it's about how do we mentor men? How do we train men? How do we prevent it from happening? And I think that societal attitudes, the way we talk to young men, the kind of values we instill in them, also will go a long way in reducing this. And yeah, let's see. I see you have the video on.
Could you hear my video? I'm not sure if you guys could hear it.
No, we couldn't hear it.
Okay, let's try again. And now?
Yes.
Wow. I've watched that video, Daktari, so many times. It never gets easier. It never
No.
gets Doc, those are real women. And those are the few whose names and numbers and faces we know. And I just want to give a shout out to Keep, the guy who uses AI, to just
Yes.
keep their memories alive and put a face to all these women
Absolutely.
that were murdered and telling us their story.
Mm.
And I could feel, I always feel it, Daktari. Who's the man that does this? And like we saw, a lot of the men are still on the run, eh?
Absolutely.
And these women are killed by boyfriends. A lot of them are killed by
Yes.
boyfriends. So Daktari,
Yes.
you're the forensic psychologist. Nini inaendelea? Wewe tuambie.
All right. Well, I very heartbreaking, obviously, and I think for us to understand it, the way I choose to look at it is by humanizing it. And instead of talking about the femicidal man, I ask the question: what kind of man kills the women or the woman he claims to love?
Yeah.
And that to me is a more poignant, more powerful question, especially when you're talking about femicide, because femicide is not just killing of women, but it's killing of women by intimate partners. And I think, to me, when you look at it from that lens, it gives you a very good way to look at it. I know we don't have a lot of time, and that's why I'm going to package it in a different way than I would if I was teaching a 14-week course. So what we're going to do, I'll answer it through 4 lenses, and I'm going to talk about, by first of all beginning by debunking the myth that there is a personality of this man, that a single personality for the man who commits femicide. So there's no single personality. In fact, what we found is that for femicide, any man can actually find themselves there. And there's a reason why they would find themselves there. It's a dangerous direction which men are taking, especially when they're not able to control themselves. They can't be able to regulate their emotions. And so there's a hint of entitlement in the men, another one about possessiveness, a need for controlling the women, emotional immaturity, especially when it comes to rejection, inability to tolerate rejection, like I've said, as well as poor emotional regulation. Because some of these things are not really just about the personality, but it's about a lack of skills in those areas that I've spoken about. The thing that I can do, the first way I look at it is by debunking the myth that there's a personality a single one. But the second one is I'm going to try and profile what kind of man would do this by taking 5 psychological dimensions. The first one is that this man displays extreme possessiveness. We're talking about the guy who says, if I can't have her, no one can, you know? So for some women, that might sound like it's a flattering thing, but it's actually not really flattering. It's a person who really is very possessive and extremely possessive at that. The second one is a man with fragile masculinity, you know? So if someone has fragile masculinity and then you're rejected, they see it as humiliation, disrespect, failure, loss of status, an attack on their manhood. How dare you leave me? Do you know who I am? And that's why I'm saying it's not just anyone, because it's not poor people. It's also rich people. Someone will be like, wait a minute, I'm a millionaire. How dare you leave me? And then that can actually also happen. So it's about, wounding their pride. The third characteristic in the profiling is poor emotional regulation. So of course, a lot of men will go through anger, jealousy, shame, and a fear of abandonment in the romantic relationships. And then instead of being able to express them vulnerably, and that's why I like what you said, it's not about they don't know how to express themselves vulnerably, so they turn to aggression for it. And I love when you said the easiest emotion to show for men is anger. It's because, how dare you, I love you. It doesn't even make sense if someone says it like that, but it's kind of like they're forcing you to see how much I love you, as I'm joking you. That's not really the way to express it. Yeah. A fourth thing is that control, by the way, is not really control the way we think about it. It's dependency on the woman, hidden as control. So basically, this woman has become his identity, has become his prize, has become his everything. So when she wants to leave him, it means like, no, you're not going to go away with my identity. I'm emotionally dependent on you. You're my identity. I'm the person who dominates you. So how can you leave? And that's why when women are trying to leave, that's when it's the most dangerous for them, because of that emotional dependency. And I'll talk deeper about that probably with any of the questions. But then again, it signals a psychological collapse. When you want to leave, I now don't have another identity. I'm no longer your husband. I'm no longer your boyfriend. I'm no longer your man. And I can't even imagine another man with you, because now they've taken away my psychological crutches. And that's really the key where the violence comes from. That it's coming from desperation, not from strength. This man is not a strong man. He's a desperate man. And that's a difference between what we may think popularly. Also, the fifth profile generally is a history of control and abuse that a man has. In forensic psychology, we normally say the best predictor of the future is past behavior. Future behavior is past behavior. So if a man is used to monitoring phones, isolation, verbal abuse, and threats, issuing threats every time he feels threatened, you bet that they're going to keep doing that even when they have a romantic relationship. So of course, what happens is that they come from a long history of coercive control of women, and that's how they actually interact in a romantic relationship, and not in a healthy, supportive way. So the third thing that I want to talk about, remember I spoke about
wait. Where?
Yes.
Wait. Wait. Gojia, we cover that part 4. And I don't know, please, I don't know what the chats are saying. Rachel, please check out the chats for me. The part you said, because now it's hitting home, that the relationship was part of his identity. How it's like you're going with a version of me that I need. And
Absolutely.
I can't do without it.
No. How dare you go with it?
You know the emoji that does this? That is me right now.
Yes, yes. Doc, you are my rib.
Well, this makes so much sense now.
So you're hurting me by leaving me because you're exposing me psychologically, you're breaking me down. How dare you hurt me? And because you're hurting me directly like that, I have to hurt you back so you can feel the hurt I'm feeling. I can't expose my vulnerability, so I'll beat you up, I'll torture you, I'll harm you.
Fragile masculinity.
Fragile masculinity.
Wamama munasikia? Ama tusiki?
fragile. It's not toxic. You know, people talk about toxic masculinity left, right, and center. Masculinity in itself is not toxic. Okay? It's like saying toxic femininity.
I love masculinity. I
That's
find
what I'm saying.
masculinity, Daktari, is so yummy. Any wholesome
Yes.
masculinity is beautiful. It's
It
yummy,
is.
yummy, yummy. Yeah.
Yes. So it's fragile masculinity. It's what's holding you together is like basically sellotapes, pieces of tape putting you together. So when someone comes and rips one of them, you implode, you actually explode as well. Okay. Also, the third thing that I wanted to talk about is the relationship dynamic. And I want to finish. So I know there's a lot of questions and I'm glad to take them all. But relationship dynamics. So what happens is that many perpetrators of femicide won't begin by killing the woman. That's how it starts. It starts with threats, emotional abuse, physical abuse, reconciliation, turning around, going all around, you know? So, and the best of those of you who've been my students before know that I talk about something called the Walker cycle of violence, which is basically a rotating cycle that talks about, you know, you begin with there are 4 phases in it. So there's a tension building phase where someone is jealous of you. Why are you dressing like that when you're going out and you don't dress like that when you're with me? Who is that you're texting? I have to see your phone. Give me your password. I need to see who you're texting. Suspicion, you know, who's that workmate of yours you keep smiling with, you know? And then what does a woman do? She starts, you know, the version you were told about keeping quiet, Dr. Kendi? She starts
Motumia.
Walking on eggshells, becoming hypervigilant, becoming anxious, you know, and reducing social interactions just in case you make him angry. And so that's what happens in the tension building phase. The second phase of that is acute violence. You're assaulted, you're threatened, you're battered. All those things can happen in that second phase. The third phase is reconciliation, or the honeymoon phase. I come crying. So sorry, how could I do that to the love of my life? Oh my goodness, you're the most beautiful woman I know. I buy gifts. Here's a new GLE. Huh? I'd rather cry in a Range Rover.
Hallelujah. I'll take it.
Exactly. And then you take it, then you start saying, because women are such they forgive, they're like, maybe he's changing. This is a version of the man that I hooked up with, that I met. Imagine it's him. Deep inside this monster, he's buried in there, and I need to save him. The fourth phase is when there's calm. So everything goes back to calm. Everybody thinks everything is okay. But guess what happens again? The cycle repeats. Tension starts building again. The acute battery, the honeymoon. So it keeps going. And what I keep describing is it spirals down into a conical shape. So it starts with long cycles. The cycle becomes shorter. Every month you're being beaten. Every week you're being beaten. 3 times per yeah, there you go. Every month you're being beaten. So if you look at that circle, the cycle that Dr. Kendi has put up, basically that circle, think of it becoming smaller and smaller and smaller to the point where you're being beaten 3 or 4 times a day, and it ends up in you being assaulted, being shot, or being killed, of course, which we now call femicide. The fourth thing that I want us to consider was the social context. That, yes, I'm a psychologist, I'm passionate about our profession, but psychology is not enough. There's what I call the social context of these relationships and what's happening. Narratives in society that a man owns the woman, the wife. A woman should never question a man's authority. Men, you know, a woman should not leave a man. If you leave a man, what kind of a woman are you in African society, or even in religious context, you know? And then that a real man must be in control. And if my woman is talking back at me, I'm not in control. So that's also some of the narratives that actually might be fueling this. Let me make a note on prevention before I wind it up, because I wanted to keep it short and tight so that we can actually deal with the questions and more things that I think.
They are just screaming over here, but you can't hear the women screaming. We are actually screaming. We are screaming, but it is fine.
Screaming, because a note on prevention. I think we need to start focusing on preventing femicide. And the way we do that is by what I would call, you know, a concerted societal approach to teach boys about emotional regulation, teach boys about accepting rejection. You know, in our days, Dr. Kendi, if I came to you and I told you, hey, will you be my girl? Then you said no. I'll be like, okay, thank you so much, Candy. Then I'll come to your friend. Hey, what's up?
Yes, I remember that.
So, I mean, so you can't also start catching feelings because you said no. And what has happened, even today, I could be with my wife somewhere and I'll show, she will meet someone who I used to know back in the day and we'll make the joke. And she'll even tell her husband, this guy used to try to be my boyfriend back in the day. Then I say, but then she rejected me, and we laugh about it. There's no hard feelings. We're not trying to kill each other. We even become strong friends because when we're over that chapter, we're not really going back there again to try and force ourselves to be loved by someone.
Please mute this person. Thank you. Sorry,
I want. It's okay. I want to close by just sharing about 3 things, maybe. That the men who commit femicide are not all the same, but they share a common pattern. You know, a need for control, difficulty managing emotions and the situations, and also an inability to accept a woman's right to autonomy. A woman can't be free, and then I still maintain control. Basically, in their mind, that's how it is. But in Kenya, I want to also say that in Kenya, there are many other things, apart from what I've mentioned, you know, in passing, things like frustration from unemployment or even underemployment. I don't know if you know that there's actually the concept of underemployment. You're working, yes, you have underemployment. So underemployment is, yes, you have a job, yes, you have a title, but you're not paid for 6 months. So are you really employed or you're underemployed? You know? You don't have a salary. So you have a job, but you don't have money. So it's like you're frustrated because of all these things. Someone is demanding, we need to do this as a family. You can't be able to do it. Questions of alcohol and drug misuse and abuse. When people are in a heightened state of self-medication with drugs, they also won't be using their frontal lobe the way they're supposed to by, emotional regulation or impulse control as well. So those things are also there. Witnessing family violence is something Augustine said and something Anthony also said, that boys are punished out of anger. So if that man grows up being punished from anger of their father or their mother, guess what they're going to do? Same thing we say, that hurt people will hurt people. Okay? And then also changing gender roles. All of a sudden, my wife is called Dr. Kendi. And me, I'm just Oscar, right? She's earning...
She has become waziri.
Yes, she's waziri, and me, I'm the first husband. How is that even happening? You know, are you saying there's a second and a third? You know what I mean? So it's basically the changing roles are also bringing out this frustration in men who can't emotionally regulate, who can't cheer women on, and can't accept that women can be autonomous. And also, I think that all these psychological vulnerabilities we've mentioned also go hand in hand with those things that I mentioned. But I want to finish with a cautionary thing.
What?
Just because we've understood their vulnerabilities and we've seen the picture, doesn't mean that we're excusing it. I in no way condone it. We don't condone it in any way. Like, hold on. I was timing myself so you can see that I was a good boy today. Right? But I just want to finish by saying that we do not condone it, and we do not want to say that in any instance it's right. No form of abuse, no form of malice, no form of frustrating women by men, and especially those who claim to love them, can be condoned. And as a psychologist, my job was to just come and try and paint a picture of who they are, how they look like. And I hope I've been able to do that, albeit in a shocking manner, but I hope I've been able to do it. Thank you so much, Doc.
Where? Where? You know, when you have no words to say, you just say where?
Where? We even have the you nowadays in front. Where?
Yeah, I hope you can see the reactions on the screen. My phone is buzzing. If you see me looking aside, my phone. People are like, great conversation. We'll circle back to you because we are going to, you know, Dr. David Bukusi, and he's the king of the brain. Let me tell you, you began, when he said it, I was like, yeah, we're in the same tribe. Dr. David.
We're in the spirits.
Yeah, in the spirit. Dr. David Bukusi taught me the brain until I could sing it like a song. Eh?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, I mean, don't go too far because
Yeah, man.
where this man, fragile masculinity, let me tell you, you have just opened up half the male clients I see. I'm like, oh, that's why. That's why that breakup was more than a breakup. It was a
Yes.
loss of identity.
Identity.
Because
And
me, I'm like,
and even as I go, I'll steal 20 seconds. Remember that a married man, especially in our society, has more opportunities. You're going to be appointed to more positions better. You're going to be given more tenders better. You're going to be in a room commanding more better. You'll be given leadership better than a single man. So if you're going to leave me, you're also leaving with all my opportunities.
And my status.
And my status. So I cannot be able to define myself in a different way. So I know people have always talked about women and losing status when they get divorced or when they get left, but it's actually deeper for men, because for men, it actually has a tangible outcome in terms of their profitability, about their career progression, about so many other things that women don't even realize. A married woman wouldn't necessarily be given a job better than a married man. I can tell you that for free.
Yeah.
Especially in senior management, you're not going to come and say, oh, because I'm married, so let me be the CEO. Guys will be like, in fact, you need to go home because there's someone above you.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to listen to you. But if you're a married man, they'll be like, oh, wow, you're a leader at home. You're really, oh, wow, that's really nice. Oh, wow, good. Let me stop it there.
Hey, Dr. David, please, if you do not come, this young man will not leave us alone. I told you earlier when we spoke, Dr. You were born with a microphone in your mouth. Ulizaliwa tu nayo. You're ready to go. And we're so glad. Please don't go away. I have so many questions for you guys
Awesome.
for the entire panel.
Yeah.
Because one of Dr. David, please, karibu sana. We want
Absolutely.
to
Thank you.
of all
Dr.
of you.
David, there you go.
Thank you very much. Excellent presentation, Dr. Oscar. As usual, you always
Thank you, Doc.
set a very interesting platform from which I can start trying to figure out how to work with. Now, if you guys don't mind, I'm hoping you don't, I'm just going to share my screen a bit.
Yes.
So that so that we can I just want a very quick guide on what shall I say? Just to help me keep my what's the word, presentation on track. So Kendi, when you called me, we had a chat about this, and we were talking about men, so to speak, the challenges that they have, and much more from the perspective of, we've gone through all these things, and there have been some excellent presentation here, Augustine here, and Anthony, and now Oscar. What happens when we get to a place where we say, okay, now I have flunked these exams, so to speak. You're in a space where we want to think around, is it possible that we can reset ourselves? We've flunked in whatever it is that we do. We have financial problems. We have relationships which have gone to the dogs. We have a marriage which is gone. A job has been lost. School is not going well. Our confidence is lost. Sometimes it's even our health. We may get a particular chronic illness or a sudden very severe injury which limits ourselves and the way we can express ourselves as we understand as men, so to speak. Friends disappear. Dreams. We've been running on various ambitions and expectations. These things just disappear. What do we do? And what happens? We retreat into a place where, holding our heads, we want to run, we go into all sorts of unpleasant and unhealthy places when we suffer these losses, suffer failures, suffer various personal disasters. And so as we were talking about this, we were figuring out, how can men reset, so to speak? How can men reset? And so as we're talking about this, I'm hoping to go through just a number of points that we'll be able to look at. The idea is to be able to reset okay? We're going through tough stuff. We don't just want to survive, but we want to learn about what we need to do so that we can get back to living a full life without losing ourselves as men, without losing ourselves as men. And so a big question is, how do we reset ourselves when our lives have humbled us? They've really sorted us out. And the first thing that it might be useful for us to do is to accept reality. This is not always easy. And as Oscar has been talking about this issue of masculinity, we can't accept it. Hey, this is me. I am such and such. This is my identity. I can't accept it. So one of the first things that we need to be able to come to a place to is to accept reality. We don't need to surrender ourselves to that reality, but we need to accept it. We let it go because there's stuff happening around it that cannot be changed. The circumstances that we now find ourselves in. Many of us as men, we will spend a lot of energy, a lot of time asking ourselves that question, which I'm sure what this man is, for example, in this picture, this slide is showing. What has happened to me? Didn't I do everything right? Didn't I play by the plan? Why me? Why me? Now, some of those questions are kind of jumping the gun. We will look at why it is that they're jumping the gun a bit later on in the presentation. But a more beneficial space, as opposed to asking that question at this particular point in time in acceptance, is to be able to appreciate ourselves, appreciate the circumstance. And in this particular regard, acceptance is not an approval of what has taken place. It's an acknowledgement. We need to be able to acknowledge the relationship has gone. The money has gone. The job is lost. And why it is so important to be able to appreciate this is because how is it that you are able to try to start building a future if you do not acknowledge that the past has gone? So, first step, this is where I am. I am not where I want to be, but it's where I am. And this is a reality I need to accept. So acceptance is extremely important. Honest evaluation of self creates this foundation for rebuilding. And we can't start creating a new chapter of our lives if we do not let go of the previous one. So that's the first point in trying to reset ourselves. The second one is to try to separate ourselves. As Oscar and I guess and Augustine and Anthony alluded to in different ways, very often as men, we identify ourselves by our achievements, our circumstances. I work in a bank. I'm a teacher. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a boyfriend. I'm a businessman. These are my friends. We are identifying ourselves with the things and the circumstances which are within ourselves. So when we lose these, very often men feel that they have been crushed. And these things, as they disappear, so it is that literally our souls also disappear with those circumstances. So one of the important things that we need to be able to do at this particular point in time is to be able to acknowledge that this is my past, my failure, the rejections that I have faced, past mistakes that I've committed, financial setbacks, disappointment, all these things, that is my past. And we need to start looking at what is in our future, so to speak, where we're hoping to have growth, purpose, peace, definitely very many other things that will be able to happen. So we need to separate ourselves from our achievements, acknowledge that these were circumstances that I was living in. I was performing for all intents and purposes. And I need to be able to leave them aside. In order to reset, we need to have a clear mind. In this regard, acknowledging something negative has happened to me. I've lost a relationship. I've lost money, business. I've even become unwell. But that does not define me. It's a setback, not an identity. And this allows us to emotionally acknowledge the losses that we've just had, if we can have that kind of mental frame, so that we acknowledge that these are losses that are happening in my past, which will allow us, therefore, to move into the third stage, to allow us to grieve. To allow us to grieve. So like I said, we accept the challenges, the issues, the losses that we have gone through. Okay? Separate those losses, the circumstances within which the losses have occurred with ourselves. Yes, that is what I lived, that's what I performed. But hey, those are things that I was carrying, which were helping me perform who I thought the roles that I wanted. But now I have lost them. They defined you. And it's for that reason, at this point, it is important to be able to grieve. Unfortunately, very many men try to avoid grieving. Grieving is not a manly thing to do. And sometimes they distract themselves. They work harder. They go and drink. They pretend, yo kitu kidogo, those things don't really matter to me. Those are things which I, sort myself out every day. But yet we know in our field of mental health, grief postponed is grief prolonged. Every loss deserves acknowledgement. Therefore, grieve. Grieve that relationship that's ended. Grieve that opportunity that's lost. Grieve that loss of the future that you imagined. History has it's replete with people who, great, strong men who lost and grieved. Our scriptures are also big on that. For example, religious texts, biographies, you'll find them in literature. David wept. Job lamented. Jesus wept at perceptions of loss. So grief in and of itself is not weakness. It is often a path that actually helps us to start working through the loss rather than around it, okay? So let us grieve. Let us come to that place of reality. Let us acknowledge and therefore grieve. And what do we do after that? The fourth thing that it is useful for us to do as we're trying to reset is to find meaning in our struggles, in the pains that we're going through. One of our challenges is if we do not find some sense of meaning within the context of our pain, we very often end up on a route to despair. Then we become hopeless. Then we become hopeless and we don't see life being worth living, so to speak. So an important thing after going through these particular losses, which we have grieved, let's start seeing if we can do the work that would attach meaning to the challenges, the feelings of pain that we're going through. And pain connected to growth becomes endurance. You strengthen yourselves. If we can connect this pain, it will help us grow and strengthen ourselves. Now, how can we do this, therefore? Finding meaning in our pain. We can ask ourselves specific questions. One, what is this season teaching me? Hey, I've been through a divorce. I've lost my job. What is this season teaching me? And that's a rather broad question, but we can break it down a bit more. What are the assumptions that I have made about myself that are now being challenged? Here I thought I was a tough man. I thought I was a big man. I was a successful man. I was an attractive man. I was the dream of every woman's heart, so to speak. And now this has been thrown away. What are those assumptions that I have made about myself? And so you can ask yourself as men, who am I? Truly speaking, what are my core values? What are my strengths? It allows this opportunity, even in the context of what it is that we're going through of our loss. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What is it that I can find that I can tolerate? What is my support system? And this can help us appreciate the season of our self-development that we're in at that particular point in time. Even more during this particular space, what strengths am I being forced to develop? Hey, I've been through this loss. I need to sort it out. We don't want to waste our pain. We need to learn from it. We should not ignore the struggles that we're going through. We grow through them. It's extremely important to appreciate. And one of the things that does happen even as we acknowledge that this pain can be very, very painful. But linking pain to meaning. And during this particular period of finding meaning, hoping that our life experience breaks the illusion of our control. We imagine, yes, because I'm a man, I can control everything. We can't. So what does happen during this particular space of finding meaning? Many men actually discover wisdom. They discover humility. They discover empathy. They discover resilience, which is what we're really trying to grow. Sometimes we also discover faith. And good things can emerge from this particular struggle when we look for meaning and growth. You've experienced failure. So it is not you. That failure is out external to yourself. You yourself are not that failure. So, number 4, finding meaning in the struggle of loss. Now, the 5th step that we want to look at very quickly is determine and focus on, therefore, the next right steps to take. What should I do going forward? What should I do going forward? One of the challenges that we have sometimes as men also is that when we're overwhelmed, we sometimes jump out and say, okay, fine, let me resolve all of these things all at once. That's not possible. We just don't have those resources. At whatever age we are, by the way, whether we're Gen Z, whether we're millennial, Gen X, whatever it is, boomers, right through to the silent age group, we go through these particular challenges, and this structure, which is thinking through resetting, can apply to all of us. So we need to focus on our next steps. We can't do everything at the same time. And we need to be able to acknowledge that. But on the other hand, just because life has fallen apart does not mean that we are completely overwhelmed and can't move. Reset. When we are resetting, we start narrowing down to a focus. Coming from this wisdom that we have gotten from this learning that we've taken from finding meaning, coming from our humility that we have learned, coming from a place of finding new knowledge and assigning meaning to some of the things that we have experienced, we need to be able to appreciate and ask ourselves to be honest with ourselves. Define what matters most. Be very clear about choosing the right next steps and start to plan how you're going to take action. Again, in this particular regard, as we're focusing on our next steps, there are a few questions which we might want to ask ourselves, and these may well, there are things which I think we can build on. What can I do? You're asking yourself in the context of honesty, what can I do? I want to get back onto the horse, so to speak, get back riding. So what is it that I can actually do meaningfully? Do I need help? Do I need help? And this is a space that I think each of the previous speakers have alluded to. Help. Me, man, help. You know, it almost sounds like an oxymoron. Me, man, help. They're supposedly not supposed to fit into a sentence, and that's the same sentence, and that's an important thing to think about. Do I need help? Why? When I'm asking that question, it suggests vulnerability, which isn't always that easy. Where can I show vulnerability? To whom can I show vulnerability? Where can I get help? And this is a question which I think we need to be able to develop to answer. Where can I get help? Gen Z is suffering. Where can I go get help? I'm an angry man. Where can I get help? I'm an unfathered man. Where can I go and get help? Whom do I talk to? Do I talk to a friend? And what do I share with a friend? Do I talk to a mentor? Which are able to, and they are in our environment, and they do help. There's no question about it. But at some point, we may just need professional help. Mental health counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists, who may be actually able to walk us through and walk with us on a journey as we're trying to reset. Pastors, elders, and then this thing called men's groups. And sometimes I think about these men's groups, and I think they're fairly interesting from the purpose of going to share and sometimes listen to each other. And I'm curious about how it is that our men's groups help us grow. our men's groups help us grow as men. And I think that's an area that we need to be able to explore. So whom can I talk to? What do I expect when I go to ask these guys? What do I expect from these people as we're thinking about our next step? Is it guidance we're looking for? Or can I get guidance there? Can I get help in developing a growth plan? Am I able to go to a place where somebody will help me learn from my experience? Subsequently, what therefore is my next right act of discipline? And this is important to acknowledge. This thing of discipline. If we are resetting ourselves, we are going to need discipline to determine how it is that we will actually ensure that we rebuild our lives. I'm watching the time. I'm really trying to squeeze all of this, but I'll come. Hopefully, I'm coming to an end pretty soon. Now,
Daktari, you're doing great. Don't worry. Daktari,
yes.
You're doing great. Tunaandika, just writing. Just keep going. Don't worry.
All right.
We love it. Thank you. We love it. Keep going.
Yes, thank you. We are resetting. We are resetting. We are resetting. I'm just emphasizing that just to keep us grounded. We have accepted reality. We are in a place where we are able to separate our identity from our circumstances. Our failures do not define us. Those are the things that we have performed, and we are in a position to guide and correct. We acknowledge that these are things which have defined us, made us proud. We have lost them. We have acknowledged that, yes, these are things that we have lost, and we allow ourselves to grieve. We allow ourselves to grieve as a result of that loss. We then say, okay, now that I've grieved, and it's important to grieve, let me make meaning. Let me find some meaning and determine what it is that I therefore now want to do. I want to reset. So I focus on the right steps. We have talked about that. Important to be honest, finding out where you can get help, appreciating that recovery is not going to take place in one day. And you need a support setup which is going to help you in your acts, in your practices that you are engaging in, and to help ensure that you are resetting yourself up. So two things to think around. One is being able to stay connected. Being able to stay connected. You're still in the community. Maybe you've taken a break when you've gone to grieve. You've had some period of time when you've been able to think around yourself and had insights as you're thinking around, as you're focusing on what it is that you need to be able to address. But you need to get back, in a manner of speaking. The thing is about this is that you weren't designed to carry all of these things alone. And we're living in a community. And there are people that we can work with in support. When I'm talking about staying connected, because it's extremely important, one of the biggest dangers after disappointment is isolation. We go and hide somewhere. We don't want anybody to talk to us. We don't want to interact with others. And men often disappear when they're hurting. But this, unfortunately, has a negative spiral effect on ourselves. In the isolation, all the more we magnify our sense of hopelessness, and it just keeps getting worse. So therefore, look for a friend, a mentor, again, an accountability partner. But you need to be able to, as I had indicated to you a bit earlier, who is it that can actually walk with me? It's not always everybody who can interact, who can walk with us. And I want to specify at this particular point in time, it is not, friends are great, there's no question about it. But sometimes the challenges that you're going through, perhaps the friend that you might want to talk to doesn't have the capacity to walk with you. They can empathize with you. More often, sometimes they just sympathize with you, but sometimes they don't have the capacity to walk with you. And it's important to be able to try to figure that out. Who can actually help me? Sometimes we want to go to friends because, again, these are people who are intimate, who know intimate things about you, so that you're supposedly keeping things private. And this is sometimes where the advantage of a professional comes in, because, hey, that's what they're paid to do. Okay, so think, have that in mind as we're thinking about resetting ourselves. Be real, be open, be honest. Who are the people that we can talk to? Like I said, a friend, we can consider pastors, we can consider men's groups. Once again, this wonderful thing called men's groups. And I would be interested to know some of the thoughts that people have. You guys are psychologists out there. You know, a lot of women's groups, women go there for sharing and support. What do men go to men's groups for? And that is, I think, a question that we need to be able to interrogate a bit more, even as we keep on putting out the idea that, yes, we need men's groups, yes. But the men's groups, as we generate them, I think they need a bit more work. There are some men's groups that you'll appreciate in other parts of the world where, you know, it's you go there and you actually do something. You develop technical skills. You go there, you share things, you watch this, you watch that. You do things, so to speak, and it helps men get together, so to speak. So it's just something to think about. And seeing, and if you can get a counselor, somebody, again, who can walk with you. So as far as staying connected is concerned, sometimes the strongest men are often the ones who are willing to say, hey guys, I'm struggling and I need support. I'm struggling and I need support. Keep showing up. Good people, keep showing up. You're a man, you're resetting. You need to be able to show up. You need to be able to show up. We have that saying, I'm sure many of you are familiar with, that get up, dress up, and show up. Get out of bed, dress up for whatever kind of occasion. Yes, I remember Augustine talking about the kind of dress that people wear. And sometimes you need some guidance. It helps to have a better understanding of ourselves and our masculinity and what it is that we're expecting, where we are going, and so that you can dress appropriately and show up. Show up. We don't always have to wait to feel motivated. It's not, that's why I talked about discipline. I talked about discipline a bit earlier. Discipline is going to be very interesting. Once you have decided this is the path I need to take, you need to now put one foot in front of the other and keep going down that route. And hopefully motivation will now motivate you to keep moving when it starts to develop. Do a task at a time. Do a task at a time. Go to work. Write out. Go for a walk. Attend social circumstances, whether you're going to watch World Cup, you're going to attend your church. Take care of yourself. Extremely important. Go to the gym, get healthy, go exercise. Put out plans which can actually help you in terms of showing up. Be present for the people those who may, if you're going through relationship breakups, it's a tough place to be in, those relationship breakups, but don't quit. For those who at least indicate that, hey, we're still here, we're willing to support you, make that connection and keep on showing up when they invite you, because for various circumstances. Remember, yes, we're men. Not every season is about conquering. Yes, there I am a man. No, some seasons are about just enduring, putting in place the plans which will allow us to get through, redefining who it is that we are, and then ensuring that we take one step at a time to keep on moving in that direction. You may, like I said, it's important to be able to appreciate who it is who can walk with you. It helps. Oh my goodness, it does help. And a key message here, once again, as I'm kind of summarizing what it is I've just said in those particular steps, accepting reality, separating self from circumstances, allowing yourself to grieve, finding meaning in the struggle, determining and focusing on our next steps, staying connected, and showing up. The message here is strength is not never falling down. It is continuing to show up after you have fallen. Continuing to show up after you have fallen. You get up, dress up, show up. So with regard to that component, you know, in many men's lives, sometimes they come to a moment when they feel like, hey, things are not exactly going how they thought they would. And sometimes that realization makes them bitter. We've talked about this. I'll mention another chapter, another area that one might want to think about. But sometimes if we can get a structured way of looking at it, it can actually make you wise. It can actually make you stronger and to determine how it is you're going to the next level. So the reset begins when a man says, I may not be who I thought I would be by now, whatever age you are. By now I should have, could have. I may not have what I thought I'd have by now. Okay? But I'm still here. I've lost a lot of stuff. I am still here. I still have breath. I still have opportunities. I still have choices. And therefore, I can still build something meaningful from where I stand, from a real space. From a real space. It is in the becoming of the kind of man who can endure loss, learn from it, and continue walking forward that we regain our dignity, we regain our faith, we regain our hope. So that's the reset that we're looking for to getting back on track so that we can grow ourselves as men with dignity. In other words, we appreciate ourselves, respect ourselves, do the right thing, and be able to go out, acknowledge what we've lost, but we're going forward. Now, I want to talk about very quickly two things which sometimes happen in the context of resetting, which are not always necessarily the most socially acceptable spaces, but they are happening, and as psychologists, mental health workers, we need to be aware of. One adaptation of the resetting man is the concept of the incel. It usually applies to younger men, but may reach right through the age groups. Incel, it's a semi-acronym. It actually stands for involuntary celibacy. People who may have been hurt by women, and Oscar, this may be right down your street, or seem to feel women are unreachable.
Absolutely.
And then these individuals choose, therefore, because the women are out of their reach, not to interact with them, but wage war against them over the internet, in different spaces, or maybe in the community, and just saying, oh, those women are useless, leave them alone, in the name of standing up for the unwanted men. In the name of standing, wanawake, useless.
There's a very popular one, Dr. Bukusi, on the internet. His name starts with a K, but I will not go beyond that. I don't want to be sued. Sina pesa ya wakili. But if you know, you know.
If you know, you know. And so it's a pretty unhealthy psychological space to be in, but that's unfortunately one of the resets that people get into, and it would be useful if they were able to, to get back on a straightened path. But another one which is coming back, another second one which is just useful to keep in mind, and I'm just mentioning it, it can be discussed later, is MGTOW. An adaptation in the context of resetting. And MGTOW, the acronym standing for Men Going Their Own Way.
Where?
Now, men feeling that they have been hurt, especially in the context of relationships, and therefore they feel what I have experienced, it doesn't warrant investing in a relationship anymore. I'm not necessarily going to say that I'm against women per se. No, not necessarily. But I will not pursue an active relationship with a woman. I will focus on myself. I will focus on my health. I will focus on my career. I will focus on my immediate family, perhaps like-minded friends. And I may even have female friends. However, I'm not going to pursue any intimate relationships, any deep relationships with a woman. Why? Because they feel they are draining. And this has been increasing, especially in the context of women's empowerment. And so sometimes in the context of that power relationship, the man feels, I don't think I want to be challenged. But on the other hand, I don't want to get into it because that's going to happen. So kila mtu akae kwa lane yake. When we're buddies. But otherwise, other than that, me, I'm moving on my own. And there are more and more people who are going down that route. And more people suggesting that it's supposedly a healthy place to go. If somebody has grown up in a painful relationship, experienced a painful relationship, grown up as a child, maybe it may be a healthy place to be as they focus on themselves. But the prayer is that they do not become exceedingly narcissistic, and that's the only thing that they work at developing, so to speak, and hopefully will end up becoming part of the community as an adaptation. But anyway, it's just something to think about. Incel and men going their own way. These are other ways that people are resetting in this day and age that we must be cognizant of. And with that, Dr. Kendi, I beg to end. Thank you very much.
Where? Today's speakers, I don't know. Yani, I hope, Dr. you can see the reactions.
I'm seeing some things.
I've written notes, Mbaka. I said, you know what, utanipea 2 slides. And thankfully we are on YouTube. Rachel, I don't know if you have any questions from YouTube. Doc, information overload. But can I just say, I'm so glad you said yes to all of you, all 4 of you, as we go to the final speaker of the night. And then we open it up to reactions and responses. This has been my hardest webinar to put together. Why? Because half the men I talked to, Daktari, said no. They all took off. They felt, And I think there are men that needed to hear you talk about reset. There are men that are still stuck in their failure, and they felt like this webinar will expose me and I'm not ready. You know, I don't want to be seen. They thought I must be perfect to speak to other men, you know? So can I just say a huge thank you to all 5 of you for just agreeing to come on this webinar, because what would I have done, you know? And Dr. Bukusi, Dr. Oscar, Augustine, Anthony, all of you said yes immediately. And I see the comments, people are saying, today's speakers, all of them, we only have one word, where? And I don't know, I just want to say thank you at this moment. But please don't go far, because I'm sure we have 1,001 questions. I know, Dr. Oscar, you're burning, eh? Dr. Oscar, you're burning.
Oh my God.
Do you want to react to what Dr. has said before we go to Mr. Mike Harris? I'm sure there's something there you want to piggyback. There's no point of pretending. Just piggyback now to Malizane.
Look, I think it should be unfair to keep Mr. Harris. But I just want to say about the incel, it's something that is happening in our country right now. And because I work in the area of extremism and violent extremism, it's one of the ones I'm trying to educate the government about and tell them that it's actually a true danger. But anyway, I won't get into that right now. But thank you so much, Dr. Bukusi. Wow, as always, I'm so excited. Thank you so much. Great.
This is awesome. So over to our last speaker of the day, Mr. Mike Harris. Mr. Mike Harris, we are so honored to have you here with us this evening. Are you there? Habari yako? Is he there?
He's muted.
He's muted. He's muted.
Oh, wait, tutamsaidia too. It's all right. Kindly help him. I'm looking for him on this.
He's over there.
Okay, has he come? Mike, please say hello so I can see you.
There you go. There you go. You're unmuted now.
Mike, hey.
It's his reception, eh? His reception is a bit I can tell it's his reception.
Okay. Please unmute him.
I have.
He's still muted.
I think he's the one who's muting himself. His reception, his bandwidth is a bit low. You can see that.
Okay. Then maybe Mike, can you hear me? Please unmute. He has visual challenges. but we're still so honored to have him. Hi, Mike. You're worth the wait. Hi, Mike Harris. How are you? Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
So what you do, Rachel, remove his video so we can preserve his bandwidth.
Now?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you,
Yes,
Mike.
you can.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Sorry, I think I've got a bit of an internet yeah. Okay.
Not a problem, sir. Not a problem. We'll work with what we have. We are so grateful that you agreed to join us this evening. How are you doing, Mike? Mike, uko
I don't know
salama?
why my computer is not responding to the video. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I can see that it's off, but it does not.
Mike,
it does
it's
not.
okay.
It
Let's
does not
just use
accept. But anyway, I'm on audio, but I cannot get my video to work for some reason or other. I don't understand that because it was working quite well before. But the
Mike?
video is just not coming on. But anyway, can you hear me?
It's all right. Yes,
Candy,
yes, we
can you
can
hear
hear
me?
you. Yes, we can
okay,
hear
well, yeah. As I said, whether it's the internet, my video is not coming on. But if the audio, look, guys, absolutely fantastic. Candy, thanks for having me on here. This has been amazing, and to listen to.
Rachel, he's muted again. Please help him.
All right. Let me see whether I can do it from this end.
I think he's switched on his video. I'm going to just switch it on for him. It's okay. One day that will be us, eh?
Yeah.
Let us sow good
Wow.
seed. Let us extend grace, you know?
Yes. I am not able to turn on to. I can only request him now to do it.
Okay.
So, Mike, if you can hear us, I've now been able to. You can be able to unmute yourself and unmute and open your video. I hope you can hear us.
All right. Mike, can you hear us? Hi, Mike. Oh, dear. Okay. Someone says on the chat, I'm literally, as we are trying to help him out, I'm literally sitting on the edge of my seat waiting to hear his take on today's topic. Yes, so am I. Mike is 87 years of age. I called him and requested him to join us this evening so that he can normalize the journey for a man. Yeah. Because it's very easy. One of the things I noticed, and maybe the panel can correct me, most men feel like other men are doing so well and they are not, you know. And the topic I gave him is, where does a man in trouble go? And I like that Dr. David Bokosi has hinted, you know, where do you go when you're in trouble? So Mike, there you are. Please unmute him. Oh, I don't even know if we can do that.
I have a request, maybe a suggestion which would be easier. If we can dial in on Zoom, just dial in like a call, it would be easier, probably even for reception.
Okay.
Let me see whether I can. He has to unmute. Yeah, I've unmuted him. Mike, we can see you now and hear
Okay,
you.
I'm sorry, I don't know whether it was the internet. It just wouldn't respond to my clicking on the unmute and whatever, but now am I on?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so thanks, guys. I mean, it's been incredible, Kendi, to be part of this discussion, and Augustine, to listen to your pain it was just something else. But then to hear the incredible counsel and wisdom about unfathered, people that are unfathered, angry people that kill their partners. And then David, you coming on to this whole question of resetting. Am I still on?
Yes, you are.
Am I still with you?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are, Mike.
Okay, so it's been absolutely fantastic, and it's quite a difficult thing to follow. But I would like to just go. I'd like occasionally, I think we men need to have a look in the mirror and just to take a sort of audit of our behavior. And I think one of the ways that I think I would like to challenge my fellow men to do an audit of their behavior, because we're hearing that anger is one of the greatest issues that we're facing in our mental health. And I would like to just challenge you that I might never have met you, I might not know you or anything, but if I spent 15 minutes being driven in a car in Nairobi traffic during the rush hour, I would very soon understand how you deal with stress. And if you are shouting at the matatu driver and waving your fist at him, you're actually increasing your blood pressure and you're not doing anything for your mental or physical health. But the sad thing is that when he sees you behaving like that, he will laugh, and he'll even go home and say, there was this guy in the traffic today and he was shouting and screaming at me, and they'll have a really good laugh. And laughter is actually part of the healthy thing. So take that as a bit of an audit of your behavior. Just think of yourself as you react in traffic, and that will, if you then have the honesty to say, I've got a problem, and that problem, of course, doesn't just work in traffic. It works with the people in your family. It works with the people you work for or work with, and that is a real challenge. Am I still there? Kendi, am I still there?
Yes,
you're still there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then I'd just like to say that, David, you brought up a fantastic issue. I've been a member of a men's group for 35 years. We meet weekly. Of course, we don't meet every single week, but the meeting is held weekly. And that men's group, which is in the Christian context, we're all followers of Christ, but we're all from different churches and different denominations, and know which church you come from. As long as you're trying to follow Jesus, then you're in. And that group has been an incredible support to me, because not only you're saying, what do these men groups do? First of all, we hold each other accountable. So I know every Friday, if I go to the meeting, I am going to have to look those guys in the eye and be accountable to them for my behavior and what I've done in terms of how we should be living as Christians. And then the second thing is that we support each other. We pray for each other. We support each other, and we are open. We are vulnerable. And was it you, Oscar? I can't remember, but saying that, to be publicly vulnerable can be wounding. We are not publicly vulnerable. We are privately vulnerable. We just open up and we call it Chatham House rules. Whatever is spoken about that is of a personal nature in that room stays in that room. And that gives us an incredible security and comfort, knowing that what we've shared is just there, and people can pray with us, share with us, counsel us, encourage us, or hold us accountable. I believe that we can face life in 3 different ways. I believe we can face life without God. You asked a question in the thing that you sent me, Kendi, where do men go when they need help? And I would say men need to go to God. But some people say, Mike, I don't do that. I'm not into this God thing. So I believe there are 3 ways that we can face life. We can try and face life without God. do it ourselves. And if we are of that persuasion, then I assume that we're following Mr. Darwin and his theory of evolution. And in that, we also have a hidden stress. Because if you believe that you are here because of a huge accident, because the mantra of evolution is that we are the result of a fortuitous occurrence of, an occurrence of fortuitous accidental circumstances. So it's all this matter coming matter over billions of years. If you subscribe to that, then you've got to ask yourself a question: what is the purpose for my life? What is life all about? If it's all just a great accident, what, do I have a purpose? And then, of course, as this life is very transient, the next question is, where do I go when the end comes? I am speaking here as a pastor. I mean, I've been in the army, I've been in the police, I've done various other things, but I'm speaking here as an ordained pastor. I've taken hundreds of weddings and funerals. Never at a funeral before I've spoken has anybody come to me and said, Mike, Fred is now here. He's in the box there, but he's not talking to us. Where has he gone? Nobody's ever asked me that question, but it's actually quite an important question. So I think if we just believe that the whole thing is accidental, then first of all, what is the purpose? What are we doing here? What is love? What is commitment? What is all these things? I mean, what's it all about if we're just an accident? And what's going to happen at the end? The second way we can deal with life is make life into kind of a sort of religion. And religion can be anything that is the master passion of our lives. It doesn't have to be anything to do with God. You can make, your whole job or a relationship or some asset like your religion. Anything that really is your master passion can become a religion. And for quite a lot of my life, I was doing the religious thing. I was going to church. I was an altar boy. I was confirmed. And I thought that I was doing all this, getting sort of stars in my celestial report card. I thought by doing all this religious stuff, going to church, being an altar boy, being confirmed, all that, I was sort of getting a whole lot of ticks in this celestial box. So one day I might get a card which says, go past hell and get into heaven. And that's what I thought I was doing. I thought by doing all these things for God, I was going to get myself to heaven. But when I had the privilege, and it's a long story, and I got an awful lot of people to thank for that, I actually did my degree at Cambridge University. When I was at Cambridge, I actually had two religions. One was going to church, the other one was playing cricket. Now, if you played cricket for your university, especially against Oxford, you became what was known as a blue. And to wear that blazer was just the most awesome thing. And so that was my I was going to get a blue. And I was doing the exams, yes, and all that, but I was trying to get a blue. And then one day, I'd been to early communion, I'd done all this religious stuff, and a guy came to my rooms in college, and he said, Mike, I want you to come to church. And I said, John, for heaven's sake, I've been there when you were in bed this morning, and there's this girl I want to chat up this afternoon, no, I can't come to church with you. I've already been there. And he said, Mike, David Shepherd is coming to talk. Now, that won't mean anything to you guys, but some of you that follow cricket will know that he was an ordained priest who played cricket for England as a test player. And I thought, my goodness, a guy that believes in God and can beat the Australians at cricket. Now, this is a guy that I need to listen to. So I forgot about the girl. She wasn't the one that I finally married, who was Pauline. And I married her in the college chapel when I graduated from Cambridge, and she came back to Kenya as a coffee farmer's wife. That's another story, of course. She wasn't that one. And I went there, and this guy just said a very simple thing. He quoted from the book of Revelation, where the Bible says, I stand at the door and knock, and if any man opens the door and comes in, I will have a relationship with him. And I thought, that's what's been missing. I've never opened my life to God. I've tried to do all these things for God, but I've never opened my life to God to let him into my life. And you see, once we invite God into our lives, then things change, because then you hear Jesus saying, come to me, all that travail and are heavy laden, and I will give you peace and rest. And that's guys, what we're talking about. If you have mental health problems, you don't have peace and rest. And God is saying he will help us. And I think part of the struggle that we face, and you psychologists are dealing with this on a daily basis, you are trying to get people to change, but it's very difficult to get people to change by themselves. But if we ask God to help us change, then I believe that can solve an awful lot of issues and can make us be more willing and able to change and deal with the issues in our lives.
Wow. I feel so fathered right now. I feel so fathered by you, Mike. Is there anything else you want to add to what you said? You know, you've made it very clear. I think what I'm getting clearly from you is it's really hard to change fully on your own, and everybody needs help. Everybody needs help, and there's a help that transcends human help, and that is the help we get from God. And I also hear you saying that we can turn anything in your life into a religion. Your work can be a religion, your relationship can be a religion. You know, you can idolize anything and it becomes an idol, but it's not enough. And that we need a relationship with God that is higher than us, that can help us, especially in times of trouble. Now, I want to ask you, if you want to share with us, is there a season of your life? Because Mike, you're 87. You've done life. You've been around the block, Mike. Is there a season where you went through a season? You don't have to give us all the details, just what you feel comfortable, where you were at your wit's end, you felt like giving up, but the only thing that kept you going was your faith. Is that time that ever happened? Because people can look at you and think, you're Mzungu, you're a Mzungu. Bad things don't happen to you, you know? You're special. Is that the case, Mike?
I mean, being a Mzungu gives you absolutely no privileges at all in that aspect. We are all exactly the same. We all have the same stresses, the same weaknesses, the same potentials, and whatever else. That I don't think that comes into it. But I was really touched by David. I mean, Oscar and Anthony, guys, you brought, and please, all what you have said is important. It's relevant. But all I'm saying, that bringing God into the picture can help an awful lot, okay? But David, you were talking about resetting from failure, okay? And that is I was involved and was basically responsible for a really large failure of part of the family business. We've been living on a farm here near Juja for 122 years, with 6 generations. Long story, we don't have time to go into that. But basically, we're farmers. But back in the 70s, I was a bush pilot. I was a bush pilot for 50 years. Unfortunately, now I'm half blind. And that was partly part of the problem when I was having problems trying to get the reset there, because I couldn't read the instructions on the screen to tell me to do something. And I've been half blind now for 10 years. And that's why I had to stop flying. But for years, I was a pilot. And when I first got this airplane, I didn't want to just use it. Kendi, if you and Nelson had come to stay with Paulie and I on the farm here for a day, you come out for a visit on the farm to get away from Nairobi. Back then, I could have said, hey, guys, let's not have lunch now. I can fly down to Kilaguni Lodge. We can sit on the balcony there. We can watch the elephants and we can have a great lunch, and then I can fly you back home for tea. I could have done that, and I did that. But I wanted to do something worthwhile, and I volunteered at my company's expense, I have to say that, for 20 to 30 days a year, flying my bush plane, flying surgeons who volunteered their time free to our mission, mostly from Europe, some from the top eye surgeons in Moorfields Hospital and ever. And I flew them around I was a backup pilot to the main organization. And we used to fly all over remote parts of Kenya and Tanzania. We never went into Uganda for some reason or other. And flying all these surgeons around, and it was some of the most exciting flying that I've done, because you were seeing people that were blind within 2 or 3 days. They either had some of their sight back. It was very exciting. So I asked the guys, what are you dealing with? What's the main aspect that you're dealing with your surgery and everything? They said, Mike, we're doing the after effects of trachoma. I said, what's trachoma? They said, well, it's a bacteria that basically thrives in unhygienic situations. Okay, so water, washing. If they can wash their faces, what was happening is if a child didn't wash his face and had that mucus around the eyes, the flies would come to be attracted by the mucus, and they would bring the bacteria, and the bacteria would go into the eye and make the child blind very painfully and very slowly. So I said a silly question: if the child had enough water to wash his or her face and had the discipline to wash and the hands, it wouldn't get trachoma. They said, well, of course not. So I decided, and it was my decision, so I've got to take responsibility for it, to try and develop wind pumps to pump water in remote places where there was no electricity, very little diesel. And it's a very long story. We had a lot of help from the British government in technical engineering advice. My degree from Cambridge was agriculture, not engineering, so I was just a bush mechanic. But anyway, after 8 years of incredible amount of money spent, with 30 incredible Kenyans in our farm workshop, we were making this incredible windmill that could pump water from 400 or 500 feet. And it would last for 40 years with not much maintenance, just a bit of grease. Solar prices then started coming down. And then I was on Kibaki's advisory council. Some of you will remember the NESC, the National Economic and Social Council, Vision 2030, all that stuff. I was privileged to be on the second cohort of that 6-year program. So I joined Kibaki's thing in 2008. And of course, we were there when we were talking about the Constitution, which came in 2010. And some of us said, yeah, if we devolve to 47 counties, we're going to devolve corruption to 47 centers. And sadly, that has been part of the issue. Devolution has brought some incredible benefits to the ground level, but it's also brought and we found that it was almost impossible to even service our machines without having to pay somebody something to do that. And as Christians, we didn't think that was the right thing to do to develop Kenya. So basically, in the end, we had to close the company down. And that brought incredible financial losses for us as a family. And I, as the father who is responsible for doing that, have to bear with that, David. I've got to bear the fact that this trying to help other people's children has caused huge problems for my own children in terms of what has happened to the family resources. So yeah, that is a huge regret. But you see, again, I can go to my Bible, and in the book of Isaiah, although I don't quite understand how it will happen or when it will happen, we read that God can bring beauty out of ashes. Now, in that story, there's an awful lot of ashes. And there are other ashes in my life as well, which I don't have to go into now. But the story is that God can even turn, Augustine, God can turn the pain and suffering that you've been through into something good. That pain that you've been through, that experiences that few, that rejection, that frustration, if you turn it over to God, he can actually turn it into something that can bless you and bless other people.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much, Mike. Guys, can I get reactions from Mike? Some of us, our grandfathers are dead, they've gone on to be the Lord. I feel so grandfathered by you, Mike. I can feel your heart. I hope you can see the reactions. Even if you can't see them, people are reacting on the screen. They're sending their love. They're clapping. They are so grateful, Mike Harris. I don't even know what to say, but thank you.
Can I just share a thought about the young people? You said, what for Augustine?
Yes.
Augustine, just listen to what these guys have said to you. But apart from the God thing, when that's you can take that or leave it, but you've got to, and I think I think everybody mentioned this, but just to reinforce it, find some people that you can trust to talk with, even at your age, even when you're at school. Get yourself some people that you can unload to, so you're not bottling all this stuff up that then explodes into whatever. And of course, it explodes into mental health issues. And that's what this prayer group has helped me. It's given me a place where I can get rid of some of the issues that I'm going on by sharing it with people. And of course, as Christians, we also believe that prayer can also help a lot of situations when we pray for each other. And then the other thing is develop character. And David talked about discipline. Very quickly, let me just mention, I worked with a police training. I worked in the police here in Kenya as a police reserve officer for 12 years. But I was involved in an international police training program, and we've been training police in 60 countries of the world. It's a big group. I've done 4 countries, but we've done 60 countries. And we have some leadership character traits. And there are 8 of them, and I just want to go through them quickly. Courage. There's physical courage, which sometimes I had to use in the army or as the police, but there's courage to refuse to bribe, to refuse to do the wrong thing. There's humility. Some people see humility as weakness. If you're a humble person, you're much easier to get on with your family, with the people you work with or for. Integrity. I think David might have mentioned that. Loyalty to your family, to your wife, to your family, to your friends, to your country. And then there's diligence. That's just hard work. Then there's conviction, just being assured that you're in the position that you where you're comfortable, where your talents and your experience can actually, bring success. And then there's optimism. If you go through life saying my glass is half empty, then of course that doesn't help your mental health, does it? But if you go through life saying my glass is half full, then that also helps. And then the last one is discipline. And of course, having been in the army and the police, I've had to have quite a lot of discipline, but that's another area that we need to be disciplined people. So Augustine, develop character, get some friends around you, and try and be a man of character.
I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Gentlemen, please all come to the front. Dr. David Bukusi, are you there? David,
Yes, I am.
now we are going to have our final round of conversation. Gentlemen, please all come to the front. Augustine, uko wapi? Sikuoni. Anthony Tabu, any final remarks? You've heard from the most senior of us. Any thoughts, guys? We are wrapping this, we are landing this plane. Tuanze na wewe Augustine, umeambiwa maneno mengi. I hope umesikia. When the youngest of us all. How was it for you, Augustine? Again, asante sana for coming on the call. How was this experience for you, listening to older men, seasoned men, experienced men, battered men, resetting men? How was this for you, Augustine?
I can't lie, it was one of the greatest actually. I'm hearing people speaking of what they have been experiencing and the hardship of life. So literally now you come to understand that we're not the ones who are suffering alone. Even them, they have been there. You see, they've been there as a lesson. Now you see, now they are teaching us how we're supposed to understand ourselves, and now we are supposed to learn from the scenarios of life. Yeah.
You're not alone, my dear brother. You're not alone. And there's a battalion of men who have gone ahead of you, who are happy to hold your hand and show you their scars. Vulnerability, not in public, but in private and safety. Yeah.
For sure.
But as Gen Zs, you're our future. Please, we need you guys. All right.
For
Anthony,
sure, we can't fail you.
Anything you want to add, Augustine Amakopoa?
Anything do I have to add? I feel like niko sawa.
Poa, asante. Anthony, any thoughts, any remarks, anything to add, any takeaways?
Yeah. Mine is to begin with thanking you and also thanking the viewers, but also thanking Harris and all those that have presented, Dr. Bukusu, Dr. Oscar, and also Augustine. But one of the things that if I'm just to maybe add would be that it not be adding, it will just be highlighting would be that topic of identity and choices, especially in our time when we need to make a lot of choice, one that reflects us, and as of the same time, one that does not put us down. Even when the choices are difficult to make, we should remember to um, make choices that come from us, not one that reflects what people want, but ones that come from us. But personally, I've also learned a lot, and I'm very grateful for the experiences shared, Dr. Bukusu and Dr. Oscar and Augustine, and of course, Sir Mike Harris. I have given you Sir. I am not a British king, but it's just what it. Thank you very much, sir. I'm very grateful to listen to your wisdom and some of those 8 attributes you just shared. I am staying with that today. Thank you very much, Kendi.
Asante sana. Thank you so much. Dr. Oscar Gidua. Daktari.
Wow. I think, first of all, is to thank you, Dr. Kendi. I think what you're doing is so amazing. And I'm beginning to think what you did was very deliberate. If you look at all the 5 panelists who I think were also amazing, it's intergenerational. We all represent different generations. Augustine and then you arrange just like that. You're really sneaky, aren't you? that was great. And then
I was your student. I learned from you.
Thank you. And that was really great, starting with Augustine and Anthony, myself, of course, Dr. Bukusi, and wow, Mr. Harris, I think, to me, and Pastor Harris, actually, because he's an ordained pastor. And I think, this conversation is really nice. It's a good starting place. But the one thing I've taken away, 2 things I've taken away. Number one, the older generation that we are needs to speak to the younger generation more. And not from a point of only our successes, but even when we failed, share with them what the journey was. I think what men are afraid of doing is to speak about their journeys as flawed at any point. But I think it's important to speak about when we fell, how we stood up, and how we made it. And the second thing is about what Mr. Harris has emphasized on, and I think also Dr. Bukusi said about how do you get up after, how do you reset? Because a lot of us are broken. A lot of men are broken, walking around with huge responsibilities and, challenges and grief and a lot of disappointment. How do you reset? And that's really good advice and good counsel. But also, above all, put God first. And it might not sound important when you're younger, and that's a reality because you rely on your physical strength, you rely on your brain power, and you rely on all that. But I think it's important that to know there's a higher power that really governs our life and who sees everything and who actually has our lives in his hands. So I think for me, that's really probably what I can say has been the takeaway for me. I've learned a lot. I've enjoyed listening to everybody. When men gather together and they speak, I learn a lot all the time because I think it's time men are heard. We women, Dr. Kendi, we're not tired of listening to you, but we've listened to very many women, and it's good to listen to more men. I think it's nice to listen to men because they also have something to say. For the most part, men just enter a room, and they're easy to keep quiet. They keep quiet, and when they speak, they're not speaking about themselves. They're speaking about something else. And I think it's important to let men speak and listen and learn. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Prof. Thank you so much. Dr. David Bukusi. Or
Yeah.
people are calling you Bukusu, but we all know it's Bukusu. Please forgive them. Please forgive them.
Bukusi, yes, exactly.
Please forgive them. I have known you for decades, so forgive them. They know not what they are doing,
What
but
they're
they know.
doing.
Oh, absolutely. Well, thank you. Thank you again, Kendi, and thank you again, every member of this panel today, and all those who are listening. It's been really great. Just listening to the different perspectives, especially as has been presented. I was just excited to hear Mike Harris and cricket at Oxford. Well done. Indeed, that was a wonderful space. We used to get colors in school as well for some of those things. It just jogged my memory back and said, wow, yes, this is a place that I was. Now, about 10, 15 years ago, I was in a panel somewhere in the middle of Europe, and one of the things they were saying was that one of the new religions, the thing that is going to become the most popular religion, again, picking off from where Mike was indicating when he was talking about the different things we need. And he talked about the passions in our lives. And I remember this particular presentation, there was some of the panelists, and they were talking about how football is going to be one of the biggest religions in the world. Right now, there are all sorts of people worshiping at the altar of the World Cup, so to speak, right now. And, initially it just used to be men, but now it's men and women, and people build their lives around it. Diego Maradona had a statue, literally, or whatever it is, erected in his honor. And these are things which are happening around the world in different spaces. Yes, these passions that drive us, they can lead us into all sorts of awkward spaces as far as our mental health is concerned, but it's just something to think about. But finally, these men's groups, and I'm actually very delighted that Mike Harris has a group that they're able to continue meeting. I think I have found that has been quite a bit of a hunger for many men. They'd like groups, and we've been starting groups here and there. Let's do this, let's meet. And I'm curious about, I've just posted about the Promise Keepers, which were around in the 1990s, early 2000s, and which collapsed at some point. But they did make various demands of men, and very many men seem to be quite happy with them. And then, unfortunately, stuff happened, and it kind of died out. But that sense of accountability, sense of purpose, getting people to appreciate that, hey, this is what we men are. We need guidance, we need support, but we need accountability, and therefore we need to be vulnerable. But we need to be in a privately vulnerable place, which will help us in our God-given responsibility of being a man. So even as I'm putting that across, I guess this is a space where we can think around how can it be developed? One of the questions I saw over there, how can these structures be developed? We appreciate that sometimes things develop organically, but I would think that it might be useful if we have some sense of structure, which people can be able to refer to as they develop men's groups, to be able to provide the support that very, very many men need. At a point where you actually want help, for example, I want to be helped, and I want to be helped in the context of a men's group. Where do I go? Yes, I know there's this, but these guys, the only thing that they do is they read a verse in the Bible and then they go away. Oh, what do I do with this group? These guys ride motorbikes to Namanga and back. Yes, they share a bit, but there's also the need to say, what do I do next? But like I said, I'm just setting up questions. So thank you again, Kendi, for this opportunity to be able to speak with people. Thank you.
Dr. Kendi, maybe before we let Dr. Bukusi go, there's a man who has asked a question, and how do we grieve? Because I mean, that's natural for me as a woman. I'll just call my friend Dr. Kendi and I mop and we cry. But as a man, how do we grieve? Maybe Dr. Bukusi can help us with that.
That's an incredible question. In the context of how we grieve is facing up to our losses, so to speak, and in an honest manner, in a private place, sometimes in a public place. For very many men, we have not been societally allowed to let go of our emotions in very many of our societies. But there are those places where you can actually just go and well, there's some communities where that's allowed, crying, that is, and that helps a lot in our grief. But I do think that allowing ourselves to, it's almost like, first of all, we have to give ourselves permission to explore the depth of the feelings that we actually have. And that is, it's an interesting question. Wow.
As you're processing, Daktari, no, I see the way you're stuck. You can Dr. Oscar or Mike Harris, Dr. Oscar, loss happens to all. Doc, we're coming back to you, Bukusi, do not run away. Dr. Oscar, I know, life happens to all of us. I know you faced your own adversity. How did you grieve? If you're willing to share, if you're not, it's fine. And how do men grieve? Mike Harris, by the time someone is 87, you've gone through your loss. That's life. And it's good for us to normalize problems come to all men, right? Am I right? So,
yeah,
Dr.
Absolutely.
How did you grieve?
Yeah.
This is Oscar now.
Oscar and then Mike
Vulnerability.
Harris.
I like that, Doc. Wow, Dr. Kendi, it's really something that I had to be deliberate about, because loss is often glossed over, and especially because when people look at you as a psychologist, and probably a known psychologist at that, the problem is that they think you have all the answers, or you need to calm down and take care of everyone else. But the reality is that pain is deep as a man, and I think what helped me the most actually was, of course, support from family, speaking with people I could speak with. But the most important part was men showed up. Men showed up for me. And I remember speaking with one of my good psychology friends, and he sat and told me, okay, so now that you've lost, now that you're grieving, how can we make it better? How can I make it better for you? And that, I just looked at it, I was like, I didn't even know how to ask for help. And I realized, as a man who speaks about people's emotions and all these things, I was also lost. And I think that was the great learning for myself, that maybe being deliberate, even in grief, is important, to actually know you're going through it. How can you do it? Of course, prayers and the thing about loss is it's you can't be stoic in loss. It's not natural. And so you blame God, you blame situation. It's easy to do that. But at the end of it all, I remember, I think what helped me, also another thing that helped me, COVID, weirdly. COVID. Because what happened was that my loss, I experienced 2 very close losses within 6 months.
Yeah.
And right after my last loss, it was a month towards COVID and the lockdown. So what happened was that communal grieving, we're not grieving the same thing, but people are losing other family members, freedom, all that. So it kind of made it feel like more of a communal thing. And then I had my privacy. And you see that vulnerability in privacy, in private, I really got it by some godly ordaining. So for me, I think that's what it wasn't easy at all. It can't be easy. I can't even imagine how it is for other men. I'm grateful and I'm lucky that I had ways of experiencing it and sharing with other men, but also family members. Family was sensitive and we sat down together. And I want to say that, there's something in psychology called a person of the therapist. And I think to me, it was actually really critical. I've worked in crisis, I've worked in violent extremism, I've worked in in all that kind of work. But I think having gone through deep loss for myself, I was now able to empathize more, maybe deep empathy for people. And I think that's what happened. And so it made me a better person, I believe. And it's not easy, and I don't think everybody's outcome would be the same. And the loss is still heavy on me until today. So what you do is, you pray about it, you celebrate it, and you turn loss into something, and I like Mr. Harris said, he turns the ashes into something beautiful. And I think that's what happened for me. And also the fact that, I have a son now. And my mom, of course, my mom passed also. You can't replace her, but her memories, are really, really powerful for us. And I see her in my daughter. So I'm happy about all that. So there's a lot of loss that, you go through, but then once you're able to go through it as a person who's helped other people go through it, it hits different. It hits very different. But thank you for that. I think, and I don't think it's the answer. It's the answer. It's just what I experienced. And I think what I just have to embrace the feeling, embrace it because it's there, but then look for someone to talk to. I think that's so important. So important. Pray, but also get that human being you can talk to and who doesn't judge you even in your loss, because you're going to say some things that don't make sense. You need someone who can't judge you. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I love that you guys normalize trouble for other men, because you guys are big boys. All five of you are big boys in your own space. Thank you for normalizing struggle, normalizing pain, normalizing struggle, adversity. Mike Harris, how do you mourn your losses? Because life happens to all of us. And for instance, you said you've become blind now. You can't fly like you used to, half blind rather. So how have you adjusted to the new you?
Well, Candy, what I have to say is that I thank God that I was able to fly for 50 years. I mean, that's pretty good, isn't it? so I've got no regrets.
Yes.
I just thank, and also I've had to bury quite a few pilots during my time, and I look back and I thank God that I survived. And I'm sure there are some times that I survived because of some divine intervention. Because when you're flying little airplanes around some very distant places, sometimes things can get quite exciting and quite dangerous. But I'm still here, and I thank God for that. So when I look at an airplane, but you see, at my age, I thought, I think I've done enough. Okay, and as a private pilot or even as a public pilot, you're so responsible for the people sitting behind you. One of the last flights I did was from northern Kenya, right up on the Sudan border, with a couple of German people working for an NGO up in Illoret. And as we were flying back over Lake Turkana, the guy sitting next to me said, "Mike, what happens to us if something happens to you?" And of course, none of them could fly a small airplane. So I said, "You're in an awful lot of trouble." So there's that tremendous responsibility. The minute I saw that my eyesight was not getting, I thought, I cannot continue to fly people around if I'm not completely capable. So yeah, I just faced the reality.
Accept reality. That was Dr. David Bukusi's first statement on the Resetting Man. Dr. Bukusi, land this plane for us. Thank you, everybody. What are your final remarks, Doc? I left you wondering how to grieve. I don't know if there has to be some traditional thing that Luya men do. Why are you leaving us hanging? And I'm sure I can find a clip of you from the village if I search properly.
Yes, running around the compound chasing cows or things like that. But I when Oscar mentioned it, finding somebody to talk to, oh my goodness. If you can get somebody whom you can talk to, I think that is extremely useful. Of course, having faith in God and yet in so many ways at different points for many people, the points of grief are also points of questioning God, So there's that dichotomy, and yet we say in everything, give thanks.
Yeah.
So, but if we can get somebody whom we can talk to, somebody who will be able to support us, that helps. If you can have a place where you can go in and have a good cry, that's also fine. But I think there's so many different ways in which people will grieve. But thank you again for this wonderful session, building on other sessions we've had in the past. And I do really think that it allows for starting to develop an idea about how best, well, first of all, just to share ideas about how best to work with men, especially given that this is the Men's Mental Health Month, and to support them in the different challenges that the world is bringing to us in the context of currently modernity, where men's roles are questioned or, well, redefined or are being redefined. And we don't necessarily have any very clear guidelines about how this should be, causing a lot of confusion for men of all age groups. And yet we still need to be able to go forward. For those of us who are practicing Christians and the others, we need to claim a place of leadership. And we do need to explore these places. These knowledge building spaces that can allow us to subsequently have something that we can hold on to, hold ourselves accountable from, and build others who are coming behind us. But thank you again. Thank you very much. And also just to cater for ourselves and our needs. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much on behalf of the mentorship program, all 3 cohorts, and all the women in the world. Thank you. Guys, all of you, I'm done with these gender games. This gender wars. Oh, we don't need men. Oh, excuse me. Speak for yourself. Speak for yourself. I need a man. I have made my peace. I have accepted that I am me, by the way. When you hear those things, I'm not in them. I hope the ladies in the group agree. I have made my peace. Men are powerful. Men are necessary. I need men. I want men. I love men. Do what you want to do with that statement. Because I grew up from the mountain. I'm a mountain woman, yeah? And you know how mountain women are socialized. And Rachel agrees with me. We are socialized that we can do without men, We even give our sons our names, I was socialized that men are replaceable. But the more work I have done on myself, the more I have understood life, the more life has humbled me, tandikaed me, worked on me, the more I've realized that is a lie. I think we need each other. We need each other. And what you guys have brought to the table, masculinity is beautiful. It is amazing. I tell women, you think you don't need a man until you have to carry your gas 13 kgs to 6th floor. And you tell me you don't need a man. Yeah. You try having a baby on your own and then you'll tell me. Yeah. So all this to say that, guys, we need you. Even in your brokenness, we still need you. I don't know who you're listening to, but for many of us women who have done the work on ourselves, we need you. As I conclude, a few years ago, one of my friends lost her husband. And you know how we were younger, we were stupid. And so I agree, we were stupid. And so we used to, when we met as girls, we used to go like, she used to say her husband is a loser. And we were like, yeah, he's such a loser. And, we'd high five about how he's a loser. The day that guy died and we put him on the ground, I have never seen her mourn her husband. I honestly, I was in shock. She now tells us, be grateful for your man. Even if he does this much, be grateful. And that for me was the turning point. I mean, we went from saying how he's useless, she needs to leave him. I mean, she was leading the parade. He had his weaknesses, but I think in focusing on his weaknesses, we never appreciated what he brought. His self, his presence, he was a covering over her. He was real, She told me after he died, she one day had a flat tire and she called him and he was gone. And she called him. And when the phone didn't go through, she burst into tears. And she realized, oh my God, this man I used to complain about always took care of my car. This man I used to complain about she told me I never used to know how tokens are loaded. Now I have to know how tokens are loaded. All this to say that I know there's a narrative that is saying the future is women, forget men. I think that's a dangerous narrative. I think we need each other. And I'm old enough, mature enough, I've been humbled enough by life to say, we need you men. and we need you in the best version that you can be. So thank you, Dr. Bukuse, Dr. Oscar, Anthony Augustine, Mr. Mike Harris, Sir Mike Harris. Thank you for doing the work. Thank you for leading this conversation. We need you. We need you, please. So stay alive, take care of yourself, exercise, eat healthy, do whatever it takes to be alive, because I've seen what happens when you're not there. I've seen what happens when you're not there. And I know sometimes us girls or us women can say mean things to you. We can put you down. But believe me, when you're gone is when we notice the weight of leadership you are carrying. It's only when we are gone that we feel the wind blowing us. So thank you for being there. Thank you for being there for your families. I know you make mistakes, but who doesn't? Trust me, we need you. Just find 1 or 2 widows, they'll tell you men are amazing and we need them. So asanteni sana. I hope that has nourished and refreshed your souls like you guys have refreshed us. Dr. You've been smiling the whole time, Dr. Oscar. I hope I have refreshed you and reset your button.
I'm needed. Wow.
You are needed. Mr. Sir Mike Harris.
Yes.
Ladies, please unmute and tell them we need them.
Yes, we need you.
All the
Yes.
time. All the time.
We do. We need
Yes,
you
we
and we
do.
appreciate you. Stay for us.
There you go. There you go. We need you. We need you. So thank you so much. It is 10:30. Good night. This was my best webinar. Thank you, guys. God bless you. See you. Mike Harris, Sir Mike Harris.
Good
Good
night.
Thank
night.
you.
Good night.
Dr.
Thank
Nick,
Good
you.
night.
Good
Have a
night.
lovely night.
share the slides. Good night, guys. Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night. Thank you.
So much.